Naruto used the hydrogen style to achieve nuclear peace in the ninja world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 Teacher, please give me a chance. After much hesitation, Minato decided to follow the original plan and lead Team 7 to take on the mission. The responsibilities of guiding the Jonin, passing on ninjutsu, teaching ninjutsu, and teaching ninja talents. Ninjas cannot be learned in a hurry and need to be taught slowly. Team 7 has ninjutsu, and they were personally selected by the Sandaime, which is enough for Team 7 to digest for a while. Of course, in Minato's eyes, Iki is an exception. Iki's water-style Rasengan in the morning almost overturned Minato's worldview. Minato couldn't imagine how this little guy could do something that only ninjas, chunins, or even jonins could access. Of course, Minato was also happy to teach his students and help Iki improve his knowledge and theory on the transformation of chakra forms. After all, there are 3 people in the team. Kakashi might be able to understand the general idea. As for Obito, Hokage building, 1st floor, mission hall. Minato, who was worried, was carefully selecting the mission. The 3 boys were talking to each other and chatting happily. What did Minato teacher say to you just now? Why do you feel that something is wrong? He said that he would train me alone in the future. Maybe I'm training in the wrong direction. Iki was vague and didn't elaborate. After all, Obito wouldn't understand, even if you said it. By the way, what's going on with you? Yingshu asked Obito. Did Uchiha Wakaku give you trouble? He doesn't deserve it. Obito was arrogant and said, I'm now a genius that the clan is focusing on cultivating. The clan leaders are optimistic about me. It's good enough that I don't cause him trouble. But this kid is quite arrogant. He insisted on challenging me to a duel and even issued a letter of challenge. He is really a fool. War? Kakashi had a strange expression. Is there any Uchiha who is more stupid than Obito? Then you have to work harder. Don't embarrass our Team 7. Yingshu encouraged him. As for Uchiha, Yingshu only had a good impression of Obito so far. After all, the 2 of them were friends who had known each other for a lifetime. As for Fugaku, he just didn't have any hostility. That's right, don't you see who I am? Obito was full of confidence, and the scarlet in his eyes flashed away. Although he only had a single Magatama, there were not many Uchiha who could open their eyes at this age. This was also the reason why Fugaku valued Obito so much and often personally guided him in his practice recently. The Uchiha of this era were severely restricted, and the second generation's containment strategy was even more extreme in Danzo. The entire clan was almost driven out of Konoha. According to Ike's god's perspective, only 2 geniuses, Shisu and Obito, would appear in recent years, but there is no doubt that both of them are epoch-making existences. Unfortunately, these 2 geniuses are both traitors. One is okay, just wanting to use illusion to stop the war. The other one went too far and just left nothing behind. Iki couldn't help but think, if Obito can grow up healthy, will he be able to suppress Shisu and Itachi in the future? Also, is it possible for Madara to give up on Obito, change the plan, and choose a new spokesperson? But this is all in the future, and it won't happen in at least 5 years. Iki patted Obito on the shoulder and said, when is the fight going to start? Kakashi and I will cheer you on. It should be in these few days. It depends on what mission Minato sensei finds for us. If it's the same as last time, maybe we can start the fight tomorrow. Obito said, deal with him. Iki cheered. Come on. Kakashi was forced to work. The steady Minato brought the second D-class mission to Team 7 to serve as a tour guide for a local nobleman who came from the country of Tango. Starting today, the reward is 35,000 taels, which is one of the D-class missions with higher rewards, but the period is a little longer, a full 7 days. Very good. Mr. Minato probably doesn't think much of this money. Then we will each pay 10,000 taels and 10,000 taels, and the remaining 20 taels will be just enough to buy a string of 3 color meatballs, one for each person. Yingshu, who was once a math class representative in elementary school, had already calculated the bill the moment he saw the mission commission. Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and reading background color in the upper right corner of the page. Damn it. The mission takes 7 days, and that bastard got it for free. Obito wiped the saliva from his mouth and said angrily, Kakashi. Just after 10 o'clock, Team 7 was waiting for the client to arrive at the designated location for the mission. It was calm and peaceful until Tuanbu suddenly appeared and whispered something to Minato. Minato's expression immediately became more serious. After the Tuanbu left, he solemnly announced to the 3 people, sorry, kids, some special circumstances have arisen. I need to deal with them. It may take some time. We can't continue with this mission. Iki and Obito. I'm really sorry, kids. Minato smiled bitterly and said, this is all we can do today. We will meet at the old place tomorrow, and I will select the appropriate mission. Then now, let's disband. Minato ordered helplessly. Just now, Obito, you can apply to fight today. Just now, my father is not at home, so I can go to watch the game. Kakashi gloated. What's the point of being a tour guide? It's too troublesome. It's better to take care of the forest. And the money is so little, 16,000 ryo. It's just a small amount of what dad gets for one mission, right? Obito hesitated after hearing this. Minato shook his head with a smile and was about to leave. But at this time, no. Iki suddenly yelled. He wanted to fight for it again. That's 16,660 ryo. He has never had so much money since he traveled through time. What's wrong, Iki? Minato had a bad feeling. Teacher. Maybe you can let us try. It's just a tour guide mission. We can do it. Iki's face was full of greed. Yes, it was all sincerity. Minato was confused. But Obito. He is in danger recently. Iki suddenly pulled Obito to his side, and Obito was stunned and was immediately covered by Iki's mouth. Obito was challenged by an Uchiha clan member. The opponent is very powerful. Obito may not be his opponent. Obito, woo. Iki continued. Obito needs enough time to prepare, or he will be beaten to death. Teacher Minato. Please, I grew up in Konoha, and being a tour guide is easy. Trust me, Teacher Minato. Obito, woo. Kakashi remained silent, and watched Iki's performance quietly. Minato looked embarrassed. He wanted to reject Iki's request, because he was worried. Seeing how eager Iki was for this mission, and thinking of Iki's life experience, Minato felt soft-hearted, and weighed the pros and cons again and again, and finally sighed. Go ahead, then you guys should pay attention to safety, especially etiquette. Don't take the client away before noon. In the afternoon, I will ask other colleagues to come and help. Minato's first reaction was to find Kushina, and his second reaction was to refuse. In the end, Minato was still worried, and gave the mission scroll to Iki, and left in a hurry. You're a bit too much, Iki. Obito looked resentful. That's right. Kakashi agreed, feeling that he couldn't be lazy. Yingshu was very reluctant. Complete the mission independently. Don't you think it's enough? After saying that, Yingshu also opened the mission scroll with his eyes wide open. The first thing that caught his eye was 2 photos, a middle-aged man with a plump figure, and a girl who should be in her early teens. The middle-aged man looked ordinary, without any highlights. His name was Hinamizuze, and he was the Jinxu on this mission. But the little girl who should be Jinxu's daughter was called Hinamizuyu. She had brown hair, and looked very cute. Yingshu couldn't help but take a second look. The more I look at it, the more familiar it looks. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will cause your reading progress to disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf to prevent you from losing the novel you are reading. Chapter 52 As a ninja, I'm a professional. Teacher. On the bustling streets of Konoha, the little girl held the hand of an adult, blinking her eyes curiously, which was very cute. Miss, from now on, you need to call me father. We are father and daughter. Please get into the role. The wealthy middle-aged man said softly with a kind smile on his face. The 2 people's voices were very small, so small that only each other could hear them. Even passers-by who passed by could not hear what they said. Father. The talented Meditarumi quickly adjusted, then pointed to the most eye-catching building in the distance, and asked in a clear voice, "What is that? It's so big." The girl's childish question was so cute that many people around looked at this father and daughter who were obviously outsiders. Kinjiro Terumi, who is a senior spy of Kirishigami, was calm. He stroked his daughter's hair and said lovingly, "Father doesn't know this either, but it doesn't matter. We will have guides soon, and they will tell you Chan the answer." "Really? Where are they?" the little girl continued to ask innocently. It seems that they are just in front, waiting for us." The father and daughter arrived in front of the hotel, where they were staying, but saw only 3 young ninjas waiting there. Seeing the 2 people coming, one of the older boys stepped forward, glanced at the father and daughter, and compared them with the scroll in a serious manner, then retracted the scroll and nodded slightly. "Hello, Mr. Hime, my name is Yingshu, and I'm the Konoha ninja in charge of the mission you entrusted." Every movement and word of the boy seemed so professional, and then he pointed to the other 2 boys behind him. "These 2 are my companions. In the next 7 days, we will be your guides and protect the safety of your Konoha." "Hello." Kinjiro Terumi greeted the boy politely, but there was some doubt in his eyes. "Excuse me, are there only 3 of you?" "Yes." Yingshu answered quickly, and never looked at the little girl next to him from beginning to end. "Is that so?" Kinjiro Terumi was very satisfied with the answer, but a hint of disappointment was revealed on his face. 3 boys, 3 genin. As a spy, there is no better situation than this, but for a wealthy businessman from a small country, he naturally couldn't praise it on the spot. "Please rest assured, Mr. Hayashi," Iki spoke again, "as a Konoha ninja, we are professional. We grew up on the streets of small Konoha. As a guide, you can rest assured." Iki added volume to the 4 words Konoha ninja, and his emotionless eyes showed professionalism. "This is the middle cup. Well, okay, thank you for your hard work." Kinjiro Terumi hesitated for a moment, and finally compromised. The mentality of a wealthy businessman from a small country, after coming to a big country and a big ninja village is perfectly portrayed. "In that case, please follow me, sir. And, welcome to Konoha." Yingshu turned around, like an emotionless navigation robot. But at the moment of turning around, Yingshu couldn't help but glance at the girl with his side eyes. Girls change a lot when they grow up. "I hope I'm overthinking it," Yingshu murmured in his heart. The land of hot springs is not far from Konoha, and there are many nobles who come and go there on a daily basis. Yingshu also went to a ninja school, and the country closest to the land of hot springs is the land of water. In addition, the appearance is quite consistent with Yingshu's impression, and the age is completely consistent. Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and read background color in the upper right corner of the page. Yingshu has reason to suspect that this girl is very likely the next Mizukichi, Terumi Mei. But Yingshu has no evidence, and he feels that his suspicion is not very logical. Terumi Mei is at least a double-blooded ninja who survived the bloody mist. Even Obito, whose IQ tripled after he turned black, could not eliminate her. She was even recommended by a group of mist-hidden elders to be the Mizukichi. The mist-hidden family behind her is probably extremely powerful, and her own status and position should not be underestimated. It's still a wartime period, and it's not logical to venture to Konoha and travel as a stranger. But Iki wasn't sure if this was a training for a big family. However, even if this girl really came to train Meditarumi, Iki didn't intend to meddle in other people's business, as that would only bring him trouble. He couldn't say that he had seen what Meditarumi looked like when she was more than 20 years old, right? He just wanted to make some money. There was no need to. Hokage's office. This. Lord Hokage, this is unbelievable. Minato, standing in front of the desk, looked at the long scroll in his hand with shock in his eyes. Is it possible that this is a disguised memory? Iwagakure and Kumogakure teaming up. This is too. I don't rule out the possibility you mentioned, Minato. Sarutobi Hirozen puffed on the cigarette, his eyes slightly lowered in thought. Memories can be disguised with illusions, and there are more ways to get to Konoha than the Kamimu Bridge. But if this is really the case, then the ninjas on the front line will be in real danger. With multiple parties fighting, there will inevitably be emissions on the front line. It is not uncommon for ninjas from the enemy village to accidentally run to the heart of the land of fire and even find the location of Konoha village. But the key is the intelligence extracted from the mind of the Kumogakure ninja. Their team had come all the way from the land of earth, passing through the Shinjuku bridge controlled by the Iwagakure army, hoping to bypass the defense and attack the Konoha army on the front line of the Kumogakure battlefield, but they were ambushed and dispersed on the way. In the end, this Kumogakure ninja somehow managed to run to the vicinity of Konoha village. Hokage-sama, please give the order. Minato retracted the scroll, his eyes still in shock, but as an elite jonin of Konoha, Minato was a professional. Don't worry yet, Minato. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hands, but also tacitly acknowledged that the task of investigating this matter had fallen on Minato's head. This matter is of great importance. The process will undoubtedly be extremely dangerous. It is also very likely to be a trap set by the enemy. It is related to the battle situation on the front line. One move will affect the whole body. I and the elder still need to discuss it. Do you understand? Minato nodded. I understand. Please allow me to go to the interrogation department. I want to learn more about the Kumogakure ninja brought back by the 3 children. Okay. Sarutobi Hiruzen agreed readily, and a little relief rose in his serious eyes. At the critical moment, it was still his own apprentice. Speaking of which, this Kumogakure ninja was also taken down by 3 children. Moreover, due to confidentiality reasons, they cannot be praised publicly, and the 3 children did not make trouble, which is really worry-free. What more could one ask for with such disciples and great-grandchildren? By the way, what are those 3 little guys doing? I remember that they just completed a D-class mission yesterday. Are they resting today? No. Minato was stunned, then smiled bitterly and said, they are now independently carrying out new missions. Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and reading background color in the upper right corner of the page. Chapter 53, Spy Classroom. At 10 o'clock noon, it was time for lunch. Hisu father and daughter suggested having a lunch with Konoha's most special characteristics. At that time, they were in front of a barbecue restaurant. Iki considered that he was still young. The 3 taboos, intestinal digestion, body nutrition, fat absorption and other factors. He was not suitable for such a luxurious life of mincemeat, so he suggested eating a chiraku ramen. It was not expensive, delicious, and most importantly, it was special. The observant Kinjiro Terumi came on the spot and said, I'll treat you. So Team 7 had a full meal. After lunch, Team 7 conscientiously sent the father and daughter to the hotel where they were staying. The father and daughter said that they were tired from the journey and wanted to rest in the afternoon and go shopping in the evening. So Team 7 waited in the reception area of the hotel, showing their professionalism. After all, it was just a barbecue meal, and everyone spent nearly 10,000 taels, which even Kakashi felt bad about. In the room, Kinjiro Terumi first arranged and checked it. The tables and chairs in the room were just slightly moved, and suddenly there was an area that could not be seen from any angle by the outside world. Terumi then opened the curtains openly, and everything seemed normal. Father, it's safe now, no one is eavesdropping. Young lady. Kinjiro Terumi smiled. This smile was not disguised at all, and Kinjiro Terumi instantly changed from a wealthy middle-aged man to a wise man, which stunned Terumi. You are surprised, young lady. Kinjiro Terumi sat down and said calmly, the highest level of disguise for a spy is not voice, posture, body shape, or those things. Advanced transformation techniques or certain disguise skills can do it. But it is much easier to find the flaw than to disguise. No matter how you disguise, you only have one chance to be exposed. The little girl nodded slightly, thinking. Please sit down, young lady. Kinjiro Terumi spread his hands to indicate that the teaching time was up. Terumi sat down obediently. You don't need to master these things. As a young lady, there will be many people working hard for you. But the only thing is that you must be clear as a young lady. Kinjiro Terumi pointed to his chest. You have to see through people's hearts, and you have to avoid being seen through. As the future head of the Terumi clan, your enemies will only get closer to you. Speaking of the word head, Meditarumi's expression turned cold, but she didn't say anything. However, it was obvious that she was not interested in the head of the clan. Seeing this, Kinjiro Terumi lowered his eyes and smiled. Let's not talk about this today. Miss, have you found anything after walking around Konoha for the whole morning? Yes, teacher. Mediterumi responded immediately. Konoha is very prosperous, but judging from the layout of the streets and the number of people, overall, I think the war has had a great impact on Konoha. Kinjiro Terumi raised his eyebrows. Why? They sent 3 little brats to carry out the mission. Mediterumi pouted and said, that was a mission carefully set up by you, teacher. Didn't you just want to see the current situation of Konoha's ninjas? Now it seems that rescuing the target should not be as difficult as we imagined. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the browser's cookies, then log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. You have made progress, young lady. Kinjiro Terumi affirmed and poured a cup of tea for Mediterumi. When the student was about to bring the tea, he suddenly said, hey, the young lady made a fatal mistake. Mediterumi, who was almost scolded, was speechless, but still asked patiently, please teach me, teacher. You underestimated the 3 ninjas, and you also underestimated Konoha. As he said that, Kinjiro Terumi took out a small notebook from his arms and opened it. He raised 2 fingers and attached chakra to them. Understand. A magical scene appeared. A portrait suddenly appeared on the small notebook. It was none other than the son of White Fang, Hatake Kakashi. An ordinary team will not have a child of White Fang, miss. Even 2 ordinary team members will not let the son of White Fang willingly follow behind. And the most important thing, miss, have you noticed that their ages are not that different? Terumi Medi stared at the white hair on the small notebook. Her eyes widened, full of disbelief. She didn't know the son of White Fang, but she knew White Fang. His status was equivalent to the head of the Terumi clan hidden in the mist. At this moment, Terumi was thinking about no one else but the young man who greeted them at the beginning. Who could be the guy who could make the son of White Fang willingly follow behind? The son of the Sand Dame? A team is like this, let alone Konoha, miss. Terumi Kinjiro spoke appropriately. We have plenty of time, but we only have one chance. In fact, I have already notified the secret agent in Konoha to change the goal of this mission from rescue to elimination. Kinjiro Terumi ignored the increasingly shocked and puzzled look of Mediterumi and smiled. The effects of rescue and elimination are almost the same, and both are enough to mislead Konoha to make a decision. The more troops they deploy in the battlefields of Kumogakure and Iwagakure, the greater advantage we will have on the front line, and it is not impossible to break the Hyuga clan's defense in one fell swoop. But that is the mission given to me by the current Mizukage. Compared to his ambition, your growth and safety are the most important, young lady. Iki, I want to drink ice juice. On the first floor of the inn, in the reception hall, Obito, who went out without money, stared at Iki and said, you look like ice juice to me. Yingshu rejected mercilessly. Patience. The most important thing is patience. Hold it for me. What? Senior no? Yingshu was shocked. The woman in front of him holding a big bag with a smile on her face. Isn't she a MOTHERF*CKER? Question mark? Seeing Nono take out cups of iced juice from the bag one after another, Yingshu was a little confused. What is this? I'm on vacation today. I just passed by here. I felt familiar from a distance. It turned out to be you. Kids, are you guys on a mission? Nono said, without waiting for the 3 to answer, and smiled. You've worked so hard. Drink it quickly. It's so hot in summer. Don't get heat stroke. Yingshu stared at the iced juice in his hand eagerly. He wondered if it was poisonous. Obito beside him couldn't wait any longer. Thank you, Senior. Senior is so kind. Slurp gulp. Yingshu. Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 54 Actors in Place, Spy Drama. After confirming that it was non-toxic, Iki also took a sip. It must be said that a sip of iced watermelon juice in the hot summer is quite stimulating. While Iki was gulping down the juice, he secretly looked at Nono. She was very gentle, the type who could afford to open an orphanage. But Iki dare not take it lightly, because in the future, if Nono retires and opens an orphanage, he can be a volunteer without her. But for now, forget it. While Iki was sipping the iced juice given by Nono, he became secretly alert. Now Nono is still a root spy, and a top level 1. What is Danzo trying to do again? Iki's eyes were strange. Is Danzo changing his family root? Let yourself become the first one in Nono orphanage to do that? Wait. Could it be that they are here to find someone above? For some reason, this thought suddenly popped up in Iki's mind. What if that little girl is really Meditarumi and comes to Konoha to train? Then this mission will be very exciting. Iki was happy. Minato just randomly gave mission to Team 7, and could he catch so many fish? At this time, Kaneko is coming down. Kakashi, who had been paying attention to the stairs, suddenly spoke. Iki was stunned for a moment, turned around and saw that it was the father and daughter who said they were tired and wanted to rest in the afternoon. Boom, boom, boom. Iki's heartbeat gradually accelerated. The red player, Nono, the ace spy of the root. The blue player, Hinata, suspected to be the ace spy of the mist hidden. He must have something to take Meditarumi out for training. If his guess is right, a spy war is about to take place. Oh. You are still here. That's too late. Kinjiro Terumi saw the 3 people from a distance, but he pretended to be surprised when they got closer. He was holding his stomach, and he looked painful with the help of the little girl. This is our responsibility. Mr. Himi, why do you look a little unwell? Yingshu immediately noticed that Himisawa was different, and asked with concern. Let's put aside the assumptions first. If he guessed wrong, the mission reward would not be lost. Maybe I had a bad stomach. I've been feeling cramps since the beginning. Kinjiro Terumi said with a painful expression. Brother Yingshu, please take me to the nearest hospital. Hospital? Yingshu raised his eyebrows. Although he was not sure about the identity of the person in front of him, he had watched many spy movies in his life. Hospitals are the easiest places to create commotion. Could this guy really be a spy? Iki's heartbeat accelerated again, but he said, Mr. Himi, the hospital is not far from here. Please be patient. Then I'll take care of it, Brother Iki. Kinjiro Terumi didn't know that the genin in front of him was actually a hanger-on. He said with gratitude, fortunately you haven't left yet, otherwise I really don't know what to do. Oh, yes, Konoha Hospital, which is one of the places Kinjiro Terumi wants to inspect in person. Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and reading background color in the upper right corner of the page. In addition, there are ninja schools, guards, and even barrier departments, which are all in his plan. The 3 genin in front of him will be his best guides, and Konoha Hospital is just the first stop. But just when Kinjiro Terumi felt that this wave of stability, let me take a look. A gentle but slightly dull voice sounded. Kinjiro Terumi turned his head and saw a woman wearing glasses walking towards him. Her face was serious and concerned. Based on Kinjiro Terumi's many years of experience, the woman in front of him was most likely a medical ninja. Why, this kid just called her senior. Is this kid also a medical ninja? Does Konoha attach so much importance to medical ninjas now? Even White Fang's children have to be dispatched by medical ninjas? Many doubts flashed through Kinjiro Terumi's mind. He still had an illusion. What if this woman was just kind-hearted? However, this fantasy was quickly shattered. It turned out that Nono had taken out a stethoscope from her bag. Sir, please sit here. Don't worry, I'm a medical ninja from Konoha Hospital, Nono said gently. Kinjiro Terumi wanted to curse, but he quickly adjusted himself and came up with a coping strategy. Then I'll trouble you. It's Konoha. It's really amazing. Oh. Kinjiro Terumi first praised Konoha, but actually took the opportunity to bite the pill hidden in his special teeth and swallowed it. As a highly professional spy, the most important thing is details. Meditarumi next to him also showed some concern and asked, Dear, are you okay? I told you not to eat so much greasy food. It has to be said that Meditarumi has the talent of a spy. 3/10 of concern and 3/10 of complaints, and the rest are the innocence of a little girl. Even if it was a bit of a performance, it was harmless. At least it was hidden from Iki and the other two. Don't forget, the woman standing in front of them is not an ordinary medical ninja. She is the head nurse of Konoha Hospital. I got it wrong. Let me do it again. She is the ace spy of the route. Codenamed the Runaway Mako, a 5-character codename. Who else in the entire route can have such an honor? Not only did Nono discover the flaws of Meditarumi, but this was indeed harmless and dispensable. What made Nono suspicious was the special movement of Kinjiro Terumi's cheeks just now. This move, the root spy, is often used. Nono became suspicious on the spot, but she remained calm and turned on the spy mode. Now she has the advantage. Please lean back a little, breathe according to my instructions, and don't be nervous. Nono showed the professional qualities of a medical ninja. The stethoscope was pressed against the belly, hiding the eyes of Kinjiro Terumi, the ace spy of the mist-hidden Terumi clan. A moment later, Nono showed a hint of solemnity on his face. It should be food poisoning, but it has not yet fully taken effect. It is just a warning from the body and needs immediate treatment. Hearing this, Kinjiro Terumi was delighted, but his expression did not stop. Ouch. It hurts so much. Dear. Terumi recited the lines. Iki, who was watching from the side, was so absorbed in watching that he forgot to help for a moment. According to the mission requirements, he should carry the person to the hospital now. However, at this time, Nono spoke again, waking up Iki, and at the same time, Kinjiro Terumi's heart sank to the bottom. But you can't move around easily if you have food poisoning. So, little Iki, please go to Konoha Hospital, find Nurse Kumi, and ask her to bring the medicine needed for food poisoning, and use treatment plan number 1. I'll be here. I'll treat this person first. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55. I guessed it right. I guessed it alright. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 figures jumped and shuttled on the way to Konoha Hospital. How excited was Yingshu's heart at this moment. Plan number 1. Betting on the honor of the Senju clan. This is definitely a secret code. The secret code to notify the route. I just don't know what the situation is with Kumi, alas. Yingshu didn't know why Nono asked him to find Kumi. Maybe Kumi is also a member of the route, and her gentleness and sensitivity are just her disguise. Of course, it may also be that he is more familiar with her, who knows. Shortly after Yingshu left, Kinjiro Terumi returned to his room with the help of Nono and the hotel owner. Nono took a quick look at the layout of the room, and had already made up his mind. Take a rest first. Konoha Hospital is not far from here. You will be treated soon. It's really troublesome. Kinjiro Terumi said weakly, then looked at Meditarumi beside him. You-chan, my father has a stomachache. Hurry up and make a pot of tea for this doctor. Meditarumi's pupils shrank slightly. My father. Then, she seemed to be defenseless, opened her luggage in front of Nono, took out a jar, and walked towards the tea table with it. But Nono immediately noticed something unusual, stood up and stopped Meditarumi. No, little girl, I won't drink your things. As soon as the voice fell, ping, Nono turned sideways and knocked the little girl unconscious with a palm. A kunai appeared in his hand without knowing when, and this kunai was blocking another kunai. Kinjiro Terumi suddenly jumped up and attacked directly. The harmonious doctor-patient relationship was broken in an instant, and the two spies showed their cards on the spot and stopped pretending. When did you target me? Kinjiro Terumi secretly exerted himself and said coldly. Us. Nono chuckled. I can only say that you are unlucky. You just bumped into me. Nono didn't expect it. His identity had just been activated, and the former business came so quickly. Just think of it as a way to repay the favor of Dunzo for agreeing to her request. Oh. Kinjiro Terumi's eyes were still cold. Then how did you find out about the flaw? I think I didn't reveal any clues from the beginning to the end. What's the point of tangling all this? You can't get rid of it. Nono didn't intend to explain, but at this time, Water escape water prison technique. A crisp voice rang out. Nono's pupils shrank, and she was careless. She was about to dodge, but it was too late. Of course it's true. The transparent water prison technique was like a dewdrop that was magnified countless times, trapping Nono directly inside it. Kinjiro Terumi pulled out his hand, but his face was in pain. He took out some powder from the gap between his fingernails and swallowed it, and the piercing pain in his abdomen was relieved a lot. He then made two shadow clones with hand seals, and took over the water prison technique of Terumi. Then he took out a few detonating talismans from the gap in his suitcase, and handed them to another shadow clone. Miss, it's a pity that we have been exposed. My clone can delay us for a while. Let's hurry. Terumi looked serious. Okay. Then I'll trouble you here first. I'm here to support Senior Nono. Go ahead. Remember to bring me some iced drinks when you come back. I'm so thirsty. Love you. Warm reminder, if you can't find the book title by searching, you can try searching the author. Maybe he just changed his name. To Yingshu's surprise, he followed Nono's instructions and informed Miss Kumi. Kumi didn't throw away her nurse outfit with a swish sound, transform into a long-legged ninja, and then flirt with him with a teasing look. Are you surprised, little brother? Everything was normal. Miss Kumi had prepared the medicine and drugs. It seemed that she was going to give injections at home. Lead the way, my little Yingshu. The confused Yingshu's hair instantly became a chicken nest. He sighed secretly in his heart and turned around to lead the way. It seems I think too much. 10 minutes later, the four of them arrived at the hotel. Yingshu was about to go upstairs with Miss Kumi, but after thinking carefully, he seemed to know where the golden room was. Yingshu suddenly felt a little embarrassed. It seemed that he was still a long way from being professional. So he quickly found the boss standing at the front desk. Boss, which room did the passenger who had a stomachache and went upstairs to rest stay in? Oh, the third room on the left on the third floor. The boss answered quickly, but quickly said, but the doctor and the little girl left first, saying that they need to buy some medicine. Yingshu frowned when he heard it. Something is wrong. Yingshu turned his head and looked at Kakashi, but found that Kakashi's eyes were also serious. I am. Yingshu nodded. Kakashi is worthy of being the son of White Fang. He was very stable before hanging up. But Obito next to him also played normally. Huh. Kakashi, why are you swearing? Damn. You're with him. Iki kicked Obito on the butt, and Obito left the group chat swearing. But when Iki turned around, he found that Miss Kumi was gone. Iki looked at the small first aid box left on the ground again, and he understood it in an instant. He cursed himself for being careless. He didn't even see the scene of the investigator's transformation. But when Iki was about to rush upstairs, Kumi, don't come over. Only a scream was heard from afar, followed by boom. A deafening explosion suddenly sounded. The whole hotel shook violently, and dust kept falling from the ceiling. Yingshu was shocked. He guessed it right. He guessed it all. But the prize turned out to be a first-line explosion experience card. Boss, open the door and prepare to evacuate the passengers. I'll go upstairs to save people. Yingshu yelled and rushed upstairs. But before he rushed to the second floor, he heard a shout, and a scorching wave of fire suddenly emerged. Yingshu recognized at a glance that this was not a ninjutsu. It might be a fire somewhere, and it was more likely caused by humans, used to delay time. Yingshu didn't hesitate. His eyes lit up, and his hands suddenly began to form seals. But it was not any water-style seal. The water link was very offensive, and although it could put out fires, the hotel probably couldn't bear the impact. The water dragon bomb was okay, but he wasn't proficient in it. The water dragon could only last for 2 seconds, and a large amount of water was just right for putting out fires. But the seal was too complicated, and Yingshu had a better way. Shadow clones appeared one after another, 4 in total, and each of them quickly condensed chakra in their hands. It was a water-style spiral water ball technique that Yingshu had thought up in the morning. Although its power was still under development, it was not even as powerful as the water link. But the victory is highly diffusive, and if the chakra is used enough, a spiral water ball can completely top a bucket of water and produce a splashing effect. The two shadow clones rushed to the staircase from the left and right, and in the process, they suddenly controlled the ball with both hands and smashed it at the fire on the second floor. Leave it to us here. Yingshu and the other two clones rushed up. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading record and bookshelf, so clearing the browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot to save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. Chapter 56. You can always trust shadow clone. Yingshu was a little angry at the moment. The evil mist spy actually dared to hurt his Miss Kumi. Although Miss Kumi was estimated to be a spy of the root, she was kind-hearted and strong after all. If there was no problem, it would be fine. Otherwise he would have to capture Meitarumi and sell her to the root. In exchange for the same price, Danzo would not come to him in the future. At most, he could buy one get one free, and give Miss Kumi to him with the shadow clones behind him, and the shadow clones in front to clear the way. Yingshu soon arrived at the staircase entrance on the third floor. He cursed on the spot. It was still a fire scene, but it was more chaotic here than on the first floor. The detonating talismans were more powerful in this small space. The entire third floor was in a mess, basically a ruin in a sea of fire. Fortunately, the third floor was the top floor of the hotel, and there didn't seem to be that many detonating talismans for the mist spies. Otherwise, if a landslide came down, Yingshu wouldn't have to go forward to save people, he could just prepare for the feast. Go. Yingshu waved his hand, and the two shadow clones that had been prepared with spiral water balls rushed up. At the same time, Yingshu formed seals with his hands again, and two more shadow clones appeared. In this situation, the main body should not rush forward, because the enemy is cunning and cruel, and may have a backup plan. Don't ask where Yingshu learned it, because if he were him, he would definitely do the same. Moreover, he can do better. After all, even if he didn't bring enough detonating tags, he could let the shadow clones transform into detonating tags, and try to nuke this place. In this way, the four shadow clones were divided into two waves, covering each other, throwing water balls, and advancing steadily as a tactical team. The efficiency was very high. Wherever they went, there was a fire and retreat. The shadow clones even rescued a few passengers. Facing the panicked passengers, Yingshu clasped his hands on his chest. His expression was calm and a little cold, and the forehead guard on his forehead was shining. But even so, two of the shadow clones didn't have time to hide, and were smashed into smoke by the fire sticks that suddenly appeared. A shadow clone was also lost on the first floor, but it ran out of chakra. There were not many tourists on the first floor, and it was a war period, so the boss's business was not very good. Finally, surprisingly, after paying the price of 3 shadow clones, the last shadow clone came to the room where Nonno and Kumi were supposed to be, the one at the deepest end of the corridor, and then waved to Yingshu. Yingshu still didn't want to stay. First of all the tourists who could leave had left, and no one could see him pretending now. It seems that he would not throw himself into danger for the sake of the root personnel. Miss Kumi is sure that his body is very valuable. Yingshu made a gesture to let the shadow clone do it, but the shadow clone spread his hands, indicating that he could not help. In desperation, Yingshu could only bite the bullet and rush through the door. At the same time, he gritted his teeth and called out 2 more shadow clones to make up for the share and the sense of security. At this moment, the corridor was almost completely shrouded by the fog. Yingshu rushed to the room where the shadow clone was. After seeing the scene clearly, he immediately knew why the shadow clone had to call him over. No, the injury was serious. Apart from her hairstyle, the severity of her burns was more than 3 times that of Minato's, but this was still the lightest compared to other injuries. She must have done something at the last moment, as her 2 arms were the most seriously injured. Her left arm was already broken, and was temporarily fixed by Kumi with clothes and a stick. Her stomach was also tangled with Kumi's clothes, and was still bleeding. There was also a bloody kunai next to her, and it looked like she had just been stabbed in the abdomen. Yingshu glanced at the now cool Kumi. She only had a ninja-specific fishing net underwear on her body, and judging from her breast shape, it should be 30 to C, and she also had a pair of ninja shorts that showed off her big legs. Even her legs were injured, which made Yingshu feel a little distressed. He glanced at the shadow clone and silently clicked a thumbs up. Sure enough, his shadow clone understood him. He had practiced so many heavenly palm immortal techniques, and now they are useful, right? Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and reading background color in the upper right corner of the page. Let me do it. Sister Kumi. Don't worry. I have solved the disaster outside. Kakashi and Obito are also chasing people. We are safe now. 3 minutes later, Iki led the army of shadow clones and carried the seriously injured Nono and Kumi with a complicated expression downstairs in pairs, doubly happy. Iki heard the noise from a distance, and many people were complaining about something. Yingshu looked carefully and found that it was the Konoha guard who had arrived, but they were blocking the door and not letting them out. An Uchiha was trying hard to explain something. Don't mess around. There may be spies from the enemy village among you. You outsiders will be investigated by the Konoha guard. If you go out now, everyone stay here until our people arrive. The Uchiha's tone was cold, showing his dominance and cruelty. The local villagers of Konoha behind him pointed and talked, and the frightened tourists were even more relentless. But the Uchiha was unmoved, with one hand on his ninja tool bag. Yingshu even felt that he would open his Sharingan in the next second. At this time, someone in the crowd finally noticed that Yingshu had come down. Ah, it's that brave young ninja. Someone shouted, and Yingshu, who saved 2 floors, instantly attracted everyone's attention. At this moment, Yingshu and his friends were holding beautiful injured women in their arms, and they all looked a little shabby. It was a huge contrast with the Uchiha at the door. The boy's not injured, right? As expected of a Konoha ninja. As expected. The difference is so big. Thank you, boy. They are both Konoha ninjas, but they are treated very differently. Yingshu took a step forward from the shadow clone, looked at the Uchiha, felt distressed for a second, then straightened his throat and said, everyone, the danger has been resolved. Please cooperate with the work of our guard ninja. Don't worry. Konoha will compensate you for your losses. You have nowhere to go now, and you may be taken hostage by the spies hiding inside. Believe me, Konoha guard will definitely ensure everyone's safety. Yingshu had a bad impression of Uchiha and originally wanted to step on him, but he thought about it and decided to do something else. Obito will fight with Uchiha Wakaka in 2 days. Yingshu wants to watch the fight, but he is worried that the Uchiha who have a grudge against them will bite people. So, saying a few nice words now and channeling the public anger is like buying insurance. It will also have a positive effect on Obito's future Uchiha expansion and strength. The most critical thing. The war is getting more and more intense, and Konoha is under increasing pressure. The Uchiha clan will have to go to the battlefield in the future. Well, Itachi will be born soon, and he will appear on the battlefield at the age of 4, which is already fast. Iki can make some moves now to lay the groundwork. Maybe he can get a Sharingan legally by then. Kakashi became a chakra measurement unit after getting the Sharingan, but he can't do that. He has to be able to do it, and he can even learn from Danzo. Yingshu suddenly felt a little yearning. If he could really get a Sharingan, wouldn't the problem of chakra fusion be solved in a matter of minutes? Wonderful. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 57. This witch is not simple. The explosion in the hotel was very loud, and Konoha's armed forces quickly rushed over. What surprised Iki was that the first ones to arrive were not the Root or the Anbu, but the Uchiha from the Konoha guard. This was equivalent to the Konoha village chief defeating the Konoha SWAT. Iki really didn't know whether to give a thumbs up to the Uchiha or burn incense. The Uchiha is worthy of being the demon of Konoha. In a word, the suppression is not enough. They deserve it. However, it is worth mentioning that after the Anbu arrived, they did not argue with the Uchiha. It seems that the Uchiha did not have such a strong hostility towards the Anbu. After taking the job, they withdrew directly and started the work of evacuating the crowd. The Anbu took over the inn and led the tourists away one after another. These tourists were all from other villages, ordinary people. Facing the masked ninjas from Konoha, they dared not breathe. The injured Nono was also sent to the Konoha hospital, but Kumi stayed. Suddenly, only Hideki, Kumi, the inn owner and 5 or 6 Anbu were left in the inn. Please tell us the information of the tourists and also the personnel flow before the explosion. I hope you can try to recall it. Regarding your loss, someone will take care of it. The attitude of the Enbu changed a lot when he heard that someone was responsible for the loss. The boss who almost had a cerebral hemorrhage a second ago was revived with full blood in an instant, and he cooperated with the work actively. Iki, who had been listening to their conversation with his ears tilted up, couldn't help but sigh when he heard that there were 5 people on the injured list. He actually had a rough idea of this number in his mind. After all, he was the one who rescued everyone in the entire inn. In this fight between spies, it seems that Kirin has a slight advantage. I just don't know where Meditarumi has gone. The original work never mentioned this part, and I don't know if it will trigger any butterfly effect. But it doesn't matter. Obito is ready to become bigger and stronger, and Kirin probably won't have any bloody mist anymore. Iki raised his eyebrows. If that's the case, Kirin is making a direct profit, right? This made Iki feel a little unbalanced. No, he had to find a way to let Kirin compensate him. It took a lot of effort to raise Obito. Little Iki, are you worried about your 2 little friends? Just when Iki was daydreaming, Kumi's voice rang out. Iki turned his head and saw that the Kumi in front of him was still Kumi, with a familiar smile, familiar voice, and the same name for him, but she suddenly became unfamiliar. From a nurse to a sexy spy, with a teasing look. If the Kumi before was the big sister of the neighbor, then the Kumi now is the big sister on the neighbor's treasure carriage. The rank has become higher. Iki, who has amazing concentration, suddenly thought of something. That's right. Kakashi and Obito have been out for a long time. If Kumi hadn't told him, he would have forgotten. They haven't come back for such a long time. Could it be? You two, are you still here? If you are not in any serious condition, please come with us. At this time, an Anbu came over and spoke to the 2 of them, with a tone between a request and an order. Iki was about to say something, but Kumi next to him suddenly stood up. I'm a ninja from the root, codenamed, and I'm on a mission. You can verify my identity with Elder Danzo, but I'm sorry, I only answer to Elder Danzo. Iki just looked at Kumi and said nothing until Kumi secretly turned her head and winked at him, which was a look of pretending to be surprised. Okay, but please don't move around until the roots officers come. Unexpectedly, this Anbu seemed reluctant to talk. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If you still can't save, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the browser's cookies, then log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. I don't know if he was just selected from the root and is not very proficient in the business, or if he still has feelings for his old employer. It may also be because of Kumi's looks, or even that he knows Kumi. In short, he didn't bother with Kumi. After Kumi revealed her identity, the Enbu looked at Yingshu again, saying nothing, but it seemed like he had said everything. Can I wait a little longer? Yingshu raised his hand and said, I want to wait for my teammates to come. They are chasing the spies. No. When they come, they have to go to the Anbu. You just wait there. As expected, the tone of the Anbu was a little cold. This kind of differential treatment made Yingshu a little unhappy. His face suddenly turned black. He just heroically saved so many people. Many villagers praised him. This is how you treat heroes. Unexpectedly, at this time, Kumi on the side suddenly spoke. She bent down slightly and leaned directly on Yingshu's head, letting Yingshu bear all the energy. Are you sure? His teammate is a son of Lord Whitefang. Iki felt the pressure. He didn't expect Kumi to be so powerful. He couldn't tell. He also didn't expect Kumi to speak for him after exposing her identity as a root. This made Iki guess Kumi's motives. On the surface, Kumi's active exposure was equivalent to protecting Nono. But speaking for him now is far from being as simple as it seems. If this Anbu is not equal to the root, then anyone who is suppressed by their superior will feel unhappy. Iki didn't know whether this Anbu would be unhappy with Whitefang, but he would definitely be unhappy with this handsome guy, and might even do something stupid. Yingshu gradually understood. What a seductress. She was coming in all directions, trying to chase him to the root. I'd better go to the Anbu and wait senior. Yingshu countered the move, and locked the former little sister in his memory with tears. What Kakashi hates most is to trouble the White Fang uncle. Senior, I'm with you. Yingshu resolutely left Kumi's pressure and strode to the door. He showed a righteous and upright expression. Yingshu's behavior stunned the Enbu and Kumi. The female spy's mouth curled up. Her eyes were full of interest, as if she had seen her prey. However, at this time, two figures suddenly rushed over, panting. They were Kakashi, who had been chasing in vain. Kakashi was stunned at first, after seeing the situation on the scene, but he quickly got to the point. Iki, that gang is not simple. There must be accomplices. Kakashi said, panting, rushing all the way, but he was not tired. Don't be anxious, talk slowly. Iki motioned Kakashi to take his time, and at this time, Obito also rushed over. Damn. Kakashi, you are a heartless man. Shit. I don't know what happened between the two of them. Obito was busy complaining about Kakashi, but ignored the threshold under his feet. He fell flat on his face, not only embarrassed himself, but also smashed the bottle at the boss's door. His head was made of real iron. The boss looked over and cried out in pain. The bottle I just bought cost 3,000 taels. Ouch. At this moment, Iki, who was about to help Obito up, suddenly had a strange expression. Why does the tone of the boss's heartbreaking sound feel so familiar? Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot to save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. Chapter 58. It's decided, it's time to change rooms. With doubts in their minds, Yingshu and the other two followed Ananbu and left. On the way, Kakashi and Obito had an endless quarrel. Do you know what this is? Sharingan, big brother. If you don't believe what I saw, what do you think? Then why didn't you catch up with him? You talk as if you did. No, I don't have a Sharingan. Wouldn't I have caught up with him if I had a Sharingan? Stop it. On top. Damn it. Come on, I'll give you my eyes. Go and catch him for me. Go on. On top. Too late. The person has disappeared, and your eyes are like blind. Not even a dog would want them. Single Magatama. Damn it. Kakashi, you ripped my ass off. Right now. Rip off. I'm not afraid of you. Whoever loses will crawl home. Yingshu, who could no longer bear it, could only use his ultimate move. Master's wife is here. Obito and Kakashi, moment, TT, there are chili peppers in Konoha that can stop children from crying at night. Iki probably knew what happened to Kakashi and Obito. The two followed the instructions of the shop owner and chased them all the way. With their familiarity with Konoha, they were really caught up by the two. But at the same time, a problem also occurred. Obito saw a woman to the east, while Kakashi saw the same figure right in front of him. Both were only back views, and both were drowned in the vast crowd. Obito believed in his own judgment, and so did Kakashi. So the two went their separate ways, but the result was destined to be the same. They were quickly left behind, and Obito was even almost hit by a shuriken. In fact, Kakashi probably knew that the enemy must have accomplices, and it was not unfair that the two of them could not catch up. But Obito was not convinced. He firmly believed that he was chasing the target. If Kakashi caught up, they would capture him in minutes. This was also the reason for the quarrel between the two. After being frightened by Iki, the two ignored each other and just walked forward. The Enbu was calm and silent all the way, as if he was wearing earplugs. After understanding the situation of the two, Iki felt more and more that something was wrong. Especially the boss's painful groan made him feel itchy in his heart. Have you found anything, Iki? Kakashi was the first to notice Iki's abnormality and asked. Nothing. Yingshu nodded at the Enbu in front of him, and Kakashi understood instantly. This is the situation. Hokage-sama, White Fang-sama. In the Hokage building, the three of them were not locked up in a small dark room and interrogated as Yingshu thought. Instead, they were directly brought to the Hokage building. What made Yingshu even more pleased and excited Kakashi was that White Fang was also here. You did a good job, little Yingshu, and the Hokage-sama would like to thank you on behalf of those you saved. Sarutobi rose and said. and little Kakashi and little Obito. Even though we didn't catch anyone, we narrowed the scope of our pursuit with you, so don't blame yourself. You have done a great job. Once Grandpa Hokage is done with this matter, he will reward you together with the last Kyumogakure ninja. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended that you occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf to prevent you from losing the novel you are reading. This is what we should do, Team 7 said in unison. Jigga beside him also nodded with a smile. Let's leave it to the adults next. Kids, you've worked hard. Go home and rest first. Team 7 then took their leave. As soon as they left, Sarutobi, Hiruzen and Jigga's expressions instantly darkened. Can you analyze their purpose? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked in a deep voice. Jigga shook his head. Not sure. The opponent's level in Mist Hidden is not low. Several Mist Hidden lines that were targeted have been dispatched at once, and there are several hidden lines that were previously elusive. It seems that it is really a big fish. Jigga's eyes were cold. Don't think that Yingshu said it easily. Water escape plus shadow clone to open the way, and then put out the fire while saving people. Knowing the dangers involved, the damage caused to Konoha by the crazy Kiraheim spy, and the shocking number of casualties. Just by listening to the report, Uchiha was worried about the 3 people. If the 3 little guys were careless, Uchiha didn't dare to think about it, nor did he want to think about it. What he had to do now was to find the person out and get rid of him. Big fish. Sarutobi Hiruzen groaned for a moment, then suddenly raised his aura. The higher the level, the greater the damage they can cause to Konoha. Nyuga, I give you half a day. You can mobilize the Enbu as you like, including my personal guards. You must find out their purpose and then eliminate them. I would rather not have the intelligence in their heads than see the children in danger. The battle is tense right now. The Iwagakure and Kyumogakure fronts are confusing. Minato and a group of elites are about to go there. It can be said that a single move will affect the entire body. At this time, no matter who it is, as long as they dare to mess with Konoha, they will only end up dead. Looks like I won't be able to eat Uncle Nigga's grilled fish tonight. After spending the 35,000 taels of bounty on a hot spring bath, Team 7 disbanded on the spot and wandered aimlessly on the street. Yingshu temporarily threw away the confusion in his mind. Kirian's sudden incident was actually good news for Nigga. There was no doubt that people's focus had shifted. Yingshu was originally still worrying about how to save Nigga, but now, there was no need to worry. Even if Nigga could solve the problem perfectly, maybe his popularity would increase, and he could even compete for the position of Hokage. Although it might be impossible, it's better to save Nigga than to be treated like a rat. If you want to eat grilled fish, I can grill it, too. Kakashi was obviously in a good mood, but he was more curious. By the way, Iki, didn't you find something? So what did you find? Iki didn't intend to care about it at first. It was none of his business. If he caught the spy, could he be rewarded with $50? It seemed that he could. Iki was stunned for a moment. Although he couldn't be 100% sure that it was Meditarumi. After all, the two of them had done something that allowed the entire Konoha to temporarily forget about spitting teeth. If they could catch this, Iki's requirements were not high. It wouldn't be too much to get a B-level mission reward, right? He had wanted to change a house for a long time. Damn it, why did he have to carry all his belongings with him all day? It's all because of the 2 big holes in his room that can't be plugged. It's quite symmetrical, but it leaks air when he sleeps at night. The key is that Yingshu always feels unsafe. If Danzo really wants to break up with him, he won't even knock on the door. Wouldn't he be exhausted when he wakes up? My discovery is actually like this, Yingshu said with a serious expression without hesitation. He made up his mind. It's no big deal to lose 35,000 taels. He might as well just go for it and change rooms directly. You guys, have you found something? Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 59. In broad daylight, in a clear and bright world. You did a great job, Lou. Rude base. Kumi, no, Lou, has changed into rude style clothing and equipment, and her hot body is covered up a lot, but it is still hot. Whoosh, a scroll was thrown in front of Kumi, and Danzo's voice rang out. Miko's injuries are very serious, and she can't participate in any activities for the time being. Even if she recovers, she will go into a silent state again. This is the mission she failed to complete. Now, you will take her place. Kumi opened the scroll, and her beautiful eyes were filled with surprise. Miko has always been Kumi's idol. She is the Roots Ace spy, who has completed countless missions, and is good at disguise. Even though she doesn't know her true identity for so long, Kumi still often has an illusion. Who is the real Miko? The missions that such a person is responsible for should not be simple. But looking at the only mission in the scroll, the familiar name, the familiar photo, and the extremely high valuation, Kumi was shocked. At any cost, let him voluntarily join the route. Are you serious? A little kid. And, at any cost? What scale? After completing this mission, you can go to the Sunagakure front to avenge your parents. Danzo's voice came over lightly. Kumi was stunned at first, but soon, her beautiful eyes were filled with hatred. Yes. Iki, will we be discovered? I don't think so. Idiot. If you don't know, don't talk nonsense. Kakashi, you have the guts to scold me again. Stop arguing. If he is an ordinary person, he can't find us, and conversely, we can't not be discovered. Do you understand? Iki explained patiently, otherwise the two would start fighting again. Yes, the three of them were following and monitoring the person on the streets of Konoha, the owner of the Misty, in who Iki suspected was a spy. The two had amazing loans and were similar in body shape. Both were short, fat, middle-aged, greasy men. It might sound a bit far-fetched, but Minato didn't show up, and they didn't dare to ask Kushina for help. They were free anyway, so they might as well give it a try. With good luck, they would get rich overnight. With bad luck, they would just treat it as exercise. The three of them just followed. The Inona seemed to be completely unaware of the situation, and he moved neither fast nor slow, so there was no pressure to follow him. But the more this happened, the less confident the three of them became. Especially Iki. He was able to perform supernatural moves before, as if he had opened his third eye, because he had opened his third eye. It was useless to use transformation techniques to sneak into Konoha, and no matter how high the disguise was, it was difficult to escape the detection of the Byakugan. In addition, Meditarumi was still young, and heavy Makup would only make her look more noticeable, so when she appeared in front of Iki without Makup, Iki almost recognized her on the spot. But now it's different. His third eye is insufficient, and he can only rely on himself from now on. Seeing that the hotel owner was like no one, Iki thought it was not bad to have some ventilation in the room in summer. But at this time, the three found that the boss looked around furtively, and they hurriedly looked up at the sky. When they turned around, the boss had actually quickened his pace, and his legs seemed to have small motors, and his fat was trembling as he moved forward quickly. Did you really guess it? What the hell, Iki? Obito was shocked. Even he could see that there was something fishy about the boss. It's a bit early to draw conclusions now. Hurry up and follow. Iki still kept his basic calm. What if the boss just wanted to find a first love feeling? Warm tips. There are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and read background color in the upper right corner of the page. The hotel owner walked all the way, and Team 7 followed all the way, until the hotel owner came to a Kabukicho. A longing look appeared on his face, rubbed his hands, and then rushed in. This. Yingshu hated his crow mouth. Looking at the door of the tavern marked with no minors allowed, the three teenagers who added up to just adults were in trouble for a while. What should we do? Kakashi and Obito glanced at Yingshu. Yingshu also frowned, and he was considering whether to change into Minato's appearance to sneak in. But just when Yingshu was hesitating, a hurried figure passed by the corner of his eye. The man was not tall but fast. The key point was that he was wearing a hood and his body was covered tightly, looking mysterious. Yingshu turned his head quickly, but he couldn't see the man's face clearly, but he saw a strand of brown hair. Chase. Yingshu made the decision after just 2 seconds of hesitation. These 2 seconds are the basic qualities of an old man, and at the same time he is worried about the enemy's diversion. But when Yingshu remembered that he still had several signal bullets in his pocket, he calmed down all of a sudden. This is Konoha. In broad daylight, How could they be afraid of the enemy's ambush? The three of them rushed forward. The figure also discovered the tail behind him at the first time, and his steps became faster and faster. It was afternoon, and the sun was shining brightly. There were not many people on the streets of the activity area, so both sides simply laid down their cards, stepped up and jumped continuously, and the tailing turned into a pursuit. The two sides chased each other, and soon a garden with direct sunlight appeared in the field of vision. The sun was scorching, and there were no figures in the huge garden. However, this garden was connected to a dense forest. The figure never stopped, and plunged directly into the forest. But Iki raised his eyebrows. Now, even a fool can find that the other party is luring him into the forest. There must be an ambush inside. Just chase them here. They can't escape from this forest. Iki braked suddenly, and Kakashi and Obito also stopped. The three looked at each other, and Kakashi shrugged and said, "Yes, this forest is very large, and the deeper it is, the more dangerous it is. Even if you are lucky enough to get through it, you will be discovered immediately if you touch the barrier. Forget it, let's do it." Iki reached into the ninja tool bag, and threw 2 signal bombs to Obito. "What are you doing?" Obito said he didn't understand. "I told you to call for backup, surround this place." Kakashi shook his head. "With your brain, I really don't know how you can communicate with the clan. Be careful." Kakashi's pupils shrank, and when he pushed Obito away, his short sword was unsheathed, and then he knocked away a shurikens fired by Sakuragi. Ding, the metal collided, crisp and loud. And then, snap, snap, snap. With the clapping rhythm of the villain, a fat figure rushed out of the forest. It was the Inona who was supposed to be in Kabukicho. Next to the Inona stood a little girl with brown hair, who was suspected to be the little girl Himizuayu from Meditarumi. Good reaction, worthy of being the son of White Fang. The innkeeper said with a smile, "I believe that with you as hostages, Konoha will always be cautious. Don't you think so, little hero Iki? 3 pairs, I don't know where you get the courage from. Don't forget this is Konoha." Obito, who was not mentioned, sneered on the spot, and directly crushed 2 signal bombs. Thick red smoke rushed out instantly, and rushed straight into the sky. At this moment, Obito felt that he was the C position. Just surrender. We in Konoha treat prisoners well, especially little girls. Of course, if you want to resist, you can try. Just look at me, Uchi. Damn. Kakashi, why are you pulling me? Obito, who was pretending to be proud, hated being interrupted the most, especially by Kakashi. And just as he turned his head to prepare for the theory, due to his vision, one after another, the figures were approaching quickly. Support so fast? Obito was a little bit unbelievable at first, but when he saw that those guys with fierce faces were not wearing Konoha's forehead protection. What the hell? Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 60. Is it possible to develop in secret? Obito fired 2 cloud-piercing arrows, and a large number of ninjas who did not belong to Konoha came. There were about 20 of them, appearing from all directions, and surrounding the 3 people. Iki's old calculator was running frantically, calculating madly, but the answer he got was only one. Danger, danger, danger. The enemy in front of him was not only a ninja, but also a spy, who specialized in playing with his brain. It is estimated that none of his old tactics would be used, and it might also anger these bastards. With so many spies, it is already outrageous that they can hide in Konoha. Dealing with the 3 miners is no less than killing a chicken with a dragon knife. Even the eggs will not be left for you. It seems that I really have no chance of being a spy. I should just study ninjutsu honestly. Alas. Yingshu sighed repeatedly in his heart. This time, I was too careless. It should be better to have good ventilation in summer. Yingshu raised his hands and said sullenly, "You are so arrogant. I surrender. Please don't kill me. Thank you." Kakashi next to him raised his eyebrows when he saw Yingshu's statement. He also threw his knife to the ground and raised his hands. "And me, my father is White Fang. The entire Anbu is under my father's control, so please don't kill me. Thank you." For a swordsman, it is very shameful to do this. But my father said that if you throw away the weapon to protect your friends, that's another matter. Kakashi knew clearly in his heart that the enemy seemed to have the upper hand, but Konoha's support would arrive soon, and the most anxious ones at the moment were the guys in front of him. In this case, the best choice was to stabilize the enemy, not to provoke them, and wait for them to reveal their flaws. As for the knife he threw on the ground, forget it, just get another one. Obito was embarrassed. It was really difficult to let him, the number one genius of Uchiha, raise his hands in surrender. Haha, it was just to give face to Iki and Kakashi. I don't need to say more. Do you know this thing? Uchiha, the strongest clan in Konoha. Anyway, don't kill me, otherwise you know the consequences. Obito raised the white flag in a stubborn manner, and then he was kicked to the ground. Ouch. The tacit understanding of Team 7 is not only reflected in battle, but also in surrender. At this point, all members of Team 7 officially surrendered. I was right about you, young Konoha ninjas. I thought you would be smart and delay time. Well, dealing with smart people always makes people happy. The hotel owner spoke, but his voice changed and became the golden hair that Iki used to have, Hinamizawa. This made Yingshu feel that it was within expectations, and he was not too surprised. After all, in Yingshu's impression, these two people have been labeled as missed spies. But, if you think about it carefully, forget it, don't think about it. Yingshu shook his head. He didn't understand the feelings of spies. As a member of the Senju clan, he should choose the confrontation path in the future. For now, it is more important to save his life. At this time, a short and thin ninja spy walked over. He had a pointed face and gave people a kind of wretched feeling. But Yingshu felt that he was a little familiar. It seemed that there was such a person among the passengers he rescued today. Absolutely. The spy took out a rope and tied up the hands of the three people. It was a standard way to tie up a ninja, which could prevent the ninja from making hand seals. Hiss, can you be gentler, sir? I won't resist. Yingshu said in pain. If necessary, I can forget your face. Why are you talking so much nonsense? The sharp-nosed and monkey-faced ninja spy said impatiently, and his voice was as sharp as he looked. After the three were tied up, someone else came over and covered their heads with black cloth. Yingshu frowned, but quickly returned to normal. And before the last light disappeared, he saw the hotel owner with a half smile on his face. This made Yingshu wonder, could the inn owner they were following be a fake? Warm reminder, to make it easier for everyone to choose books, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. But Himizuzen is clearly in front of him. However, before Yingshu could think about it, a gun was suddenly placed on the back of his neck, which was chilling. Little boy, my gun is very sharp. If you have any problems on the way, you'd better tell me first, otherwise you will lose your head. Of course, it's another time that I can't hear it. Ha 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 ha. A spy who seemed to be a pervert laughed arrogantly, and the spies next to him also laughed silently. Okay. Yingshu answered very straightforwardly and cooperated. This frivolous posture made the laughter around him stop immediately. Iki couldn't see, because his head was covered, but he could feel that many people were probably looking at him at this moment. I said, this is not an ordinary kid. Your way of intimidation is useless to him, Eagle Ghost. He is probably now thinking about how to cooperate with the ninjas of Konoha to kill us all. Himisawa's voice paused, and then became a little serious. Everyone, the really fierce battle has just begun. Whether you can complete the mission depends on what happens next. Yes. The spy's laughter was silent, except for the pervert behind Iki. The spy's response was also very deep. Yingshu could hear everyone's voice, but they seemed to be the same person. At this moment, Yingshu's heart was complicated. Since traveling to the present, he has experienced no less than 100 battles of all sizes. Minus the duel with Uchiha, the physical education class in the ninja school, and the sparring with Kakashi and Obito. There are still 4 times left. One is Minato, regardless of winning or losing, and the other is Chili, who was almost hammered to death. The only ones who can really be called battle records are the Kumogakure ninja and the Route 9 kills that night. He won, 1 in IQ, 1 in hydrogen escape, and 1 in the powerful water dragon bullet that worked miracles. But these, in front of this group of spies, are really nothing. Being able to sneak into Konoha and ambush them right under Konoha's noses requires extremely high professionalism. E.g. couldn't even figure out Himizu's identity, let alone compete with this group of guys who were always at loggerheads. Do I really have to surrender? E.g. murmured in his heart. He could already roughly guess the result. Kakashi definitely didn't. No matter how rampant Kiryu was, he would be afraid of the rat. Kakashi might not even be taken out of Konoha. Obito probably didn't either. It was impossible for Uchiha to let Kiryu take away a genius who had opened his eyes at the age of 18. Kiryu didn't even dare to dig out Obito's eyes. In a way, Uchiha is more famous than Hyuga. They are not the kind of people who paint on their foreheads for fear of their clansman's eyes being dug out. With the blood of the 1,000 hands, he should have a bright future. But the key is that no one knows except the old man. Kiryu's goal is to evacuate, so they must have some bargaining chips in their hands. If nothing unexpected happens, this bargaining chip is him, Senjuiki. It can only be him, a member of the Senjuiki clan who lives in a rented house and is reluctant to even repair the wall. I just don't know if the treatment will be better after arriving in Kiryu and the house price there. Obito should be sad, right? Sigh. Yingshu thought with a bad taste in his heart. It's really shameful for a time traveler to be like this. But at this time, Yingshu, who was walking in the dark under the guidance of the long hair behind his neck, suddenly kicked something under his feet. He stumbled and almost fell. Yingshu was instinctively startled and yelled, "Be careful, brother." Yingshu was full of empathy in his heart. I haven't reached the mist invisibility yet, don't shake your hands. But the next second, look at your little achievement. Lie down. A familiar voice, old but powerful, with a poisonous tongue, but it can't hide the concern in it. Yingshu was stunned, and then ecstatic. Surrender? Just rely on your mist invisibility? Question mark? Go to hell. It's as if there's no one behind me. I'd rather die than surrender. Warm reminder, if you can't find the book title, you can try searching for the author. Maybe he just changed his name. Chapter 61. You old man, you. Yingshu has always been a stable person. Although it is a bit embarrassing that he was almost sold as a slave because of his excessive recklessness. But overall, Yingshu thinks he is still very cautious and brave. If he really recklessly, he would not be saved this time, right? So, everything is the best arrangement. Surrender is just a cloud. It is a tactic Earth escape Earth dragon technique. The old man chanted in his retro tone, and Yingshu, who was lying on the ground, only felt the ground shaking, as if something broke out of the ground nearby. That thing must be very big, and the sound caused by the shaking was like thousands of troops trampling together. Yingshu soon heard a series of heart-wrenching screams, mixed with a lot of dull collisions, and the sound of bones breaking. He didn't know what was going on. Yingshu didn't know how strong the old man was, but he should be very strong. It's just that these spies were tough enough that no one begged for mercy. Yingshu couldn't help but be curious, and was about to burst out chakra to free his hands and observe the scene of the old man's rage. But at this time he felt someone approaching him, so the chakra he had just mobilized was dormant again. Watch the changes, and be ready to go. Immediately afterwards, he was pulled up, and then he felt something cold on his neck. Judging from the texture, it should be a kunai, a very sharp one. Well, he can hold on for a while. Yingshu stood obediently, but he was actually not at ease. He pretended to be scared, arched his body backwards, and tried to find the enemy's position to hold him. Brother, don't shake your hands. I surrendered a long time ago, and I don't even know that old man. Yingshu's plan succeeded, but he felt a little weird in his heart. The person holding him should be short, and his neck hit the person's head. Then don't move. The little girl's crisp and a little nervous voice rang out. Yingshu's eyebrows also raised. Oh. It turned out to be a fully paid room. Nice to meet you. At this time, the old man seemed to have finished dealing with it. The vibrations stopped, and the screams stopped. The only sounds Yingshu could hear were the throbbing heartbeat of the little girl behind him, and the old man's heavy breathing. Is this weak? Question mark? Yingshu suddenly felt something was wrong. He knew that the old man was strong enough, and he had never seen him use his full strength. These mist-hidden spies may not be his opponents, but the old man's biggest enemy is himself and his age. Years are a butcher knife, and who can keep their hair young forever? Yingshu sighed in his heart. Then, give it to me next. Hehe. Only Meditarumi is left. The bloodstained Mizukage will be in the future. At this moment, it belongs to someone like Senju. Ikki's hands immediately became restless. Chakra was mobilized. He couldn't make hand seals, but he was not a fake ninja. What kind of hand seals would a decent person make? But at this time, Your Excellency, Hinamizawa's voice suddenly sounded. Although his tone was a bit cautious, it made Ikki's body tremble. Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Why is this guy still here? Question mark? Ikki is very confident in his hearing. Let's just say that he has basically never given up on English listening since the 3rd grade of elementary school. Especially after his vision and hearing were blocked, his ears became more sensitive. He could almost hear Meditarumi's heart rate, and he didn't even notice that Himizasawa was standing behind him. Your earth escape is really amazing, but now, you don't have much chakra, right? The old man didn't answer, but his panting was still intense. Yingshu felt the little girl beside him move, and then Himizasawa's voice appeared in front of him, moving past, and Yingshu didn't notice it at all. Our request is simple, we just want to leave Konoha. But if you insist on keeping us, then I can only let this kid die with us. Sir, I want to make a deal with you, if I can guarantee. Go away, take this kid away, and don't let me see you again. The old man's voice sounded, without any emotion. Yingshu was listening intently, and he didn't react at the first time. You old man, are you kidding me? Question mark? Yingshu was shocked. At the same time, he also felt that the heart rate of the little girl behind him suddenly dropped. Not only her, but also his Azora in front, seemed to be shocked. It was obvious that they were shocked by the shocking words of the old man. This was the first time that Yingshu noticed Himizu's actions. With this spy training, it was really terrifying. Why do you still want to compete with me? Come on, old man, I'll give you 2 hands. Yingshu was speechless. What exactly was this old man planning? He didn't believe that this old man really planned to ignore him. Could it be that his body was really broken? You go first. At this time, Himizu's voice sounded, and it was an unquestionable command tone. Terumi Mei behind him didn't say anything, but after pausing for 2 seconds, she put the kunai on Yingshu's neck on his waist. Let's go. Stop playing tricks. At this moment, Yingshu's brain was working frantically. He could roll out 2 balls in 1 second, one for each person in front and behind him, which was just enough. The only problem was that he didn't know the exact location of Himizasawa. After the shock just now, Himizasawa entered the ghost mode again. Yingshu can only gamble now. Yingshu quickly thought of a more stable way. He directly came behind Meditarumi with a cool backflip and snatched Meditarumi's kunai in the process and landed gracefully, switching between the identities of prey and hunter. Wouldn't it be great to kill him in a desperate situation? Question mark? As soon as he said it, Yingshu's chakra was mobilized immediately. So ugly. But at this time, little girl, be careful of that boy's hands. He knows the unmarked ninjutsu. You'd better stick a detonating talisman on him. This. The little girl was stunned for a moment, but she still did it. Yingshu, who was about to start the operation, immediately felt something stuck on his back. Yingshu's first reaction was to output the quintessence of Chinese culture, but the old man seemed to have predicted Yingshu's operation, and gave another hint. And his mouth. He has sex in his mouth. You'd better block it quickly. Haha. He really didn't give him any chance. You old man, you're going too far. Wait, there's nothing in my mouth. Ugh. He's slandering me. AWW. Ugh. Ugh. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been fixed. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the browser's cookies, then log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. Yingshu-kun, let's make a deal. Yingshu continued his hostage journey. but compared to 10 minutes ago, there was something that looked like a handkerchief in his mouth, and several detonating tags were stuck on his back. The old man came, but it seemed that he didn't come. Yingshu didn't know what the old man was doing, but what was certain was that he could only rely on himself now. Kakashi and Obito are not here. We didn't see them in the battle just now. I don't know where they are. The most urgent thing now is to find a way to get out of this situation first. Yingshu thought to himself, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he got. If it weren't for the old man's mess, he would have just killed him in a cool way. I really didn't expect that you would be the most hidden one among the three. Yingshu walked forward with his eyes closed under the guidance of Meditarumi. Himizu's voice sounded again. Yingshu didn't want to pay attention to it and was too lazy to even hum. The most hidden? Haha, I'm not bragging. I'll scare you to death if I tell you. It's a pity. I'm afraid I can't find your secret myself. Himizu sighed. Yingshu noticed that Meditarumi beside him trembled. It was a pity that his hands were sealed by the detonation talisman. Otherwise he could have killed her in this instant. But the next second, swish, the light reappeared, and the black cloth bag on Ikki's head was suddenly pulled down. The dazzling sunlight made Ikki squeeze his eyes instinctively. After he adjusted himself, the face that appeared in front of his eyes was actually a different person. The golden hair at the beginning, Hinamizawa, or Kinjiro Terumi, was looking at Ikki with interest. The two looked at each other, and Kinjiro Terumi suddenly nodded in approval. Your eyes are not bad. You are a good material for being a spy. Ikki blinked, looking very innocent. Spy? Sorry, why don't you just delete me? I'm not worthy. When I meet you in the future, I will try to stay away from you, and then shoot directly. You must have a lot of questions, right? Sorry, I almost forgot about the prank of that senior. Kinjiro Terumi smiled, and then with the puzzled looks of Ikki and Meditarumi, he directly took out the handkerchief stuffed in Ikki's mouth. Ikki's brows gradually wrinkled. He was really confused by Hinamiza's trick. So he tentatively asked, well, how about you untie my hand too? It's a little numb. Interesting. Kinjiro Terumi smiled and shook his head. It's not impossible, but not now. Let's talk while we walk, please. After regaining his vision, Ikki no longer needed to be guided. Meditarumi stood behind him, and the three of them moved forward again. The surrounding trees are very dense. Yingshu had been covered with his head before, so his sense of direction was blurred. He could only roughly judge that they might be at the border of Konoha, based on the departure time and speed. They should have left the Konoha barrier. Let me introduce myself. My real name is Kinjiro, but I can't tell you my last name. This is the rule of our line. My name is Yingshu, and I don't have a last name. Yingshu introduced himself again, seemingly helpless, but in fact Yingshu was calculating their location. Leaving the Konoha barrier would indeed allow the Konoha barrier team to locate their location and the direction of departure in the first place. But this guy named Kinjiro is very cunning. Kakashi and Obito were not on the same side as them. Ikki estimated that this guy must have arranged more than one group of people to confuse the barrier team. Otherwise, Konoha's support would have arrived long ago, and he wouldn't have been. Damn. Just thinking about it makes me angry. Ikki cursed again in his heart, but suddenly found that there was no sound next to him. He couldn't help but turn his head to look at Kinjiro, but found that the guy's expression was a bit strange, like a person who found out that he was cheated, and the person who cheated on him was right across from him. Yes, that's the feeling. Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. Everyone can try it. That's right. Kinjiro Terumi murmured, and then chuckled again, and shook his head. Iju-kun, I want to make a deal with you. Deal? Iju looked puzzled, and was also confused in his heart. How was this going to trick him again? Yes, a deal. An equal deal. Kinjiro Terumi stopped walking, and the soft sunlight falling from the lush trees just happened to shine on him. I will tell you the truth about everything, including why I came to Konoha and why I fled. You two must agree to one of my requests. Believe me, this deal is definitely a good deal for you. Hokage-sama, news has come from the barrier team that Lord White Fang has caught up with one of the teams and Uchiha Obito has been rescued. The remaining 4 teams of enemy village personnel are under surveillance and are expected to be completely wiped out before nightfall, an Anbu reported. Sarutobi heroes in puffed up clouds and mist, watching the setting sun on the horizon. His previous anxiety and rage had long since disappeared, and now he was just calm. Where's Minato? It's been a while since he left. Still no news? The enemy group that Minato Jonin is in charge of is not under surveillance. Hokage-sama, the barrier team cannot synchronize the battle situation. The Enbu quickly replied. Then send another team. All the mist spies stationed in Konoha are dispatched. We can't be too stingy. Sarutobi Hirozen said calmly. Before dark, I want to see the 3 children. Yes. The Enbu left. But at the same time, another Enbu also walked in. Hokage-sama, the root elder Danzo sent an S-level letter. S-level? Sarutobi Hirozen's eyes froze. Hurry, and bring it over. 1 minute later. Bang. Sarutobi Hirozen suddenly tore the letter in his hand into pieces, his eyes full of anger. This bastard. Bastard. The Enbu beside him lowered their heads and said nothing. No one dared to touch the current Hokage at this time. The lion is getting old, but his majesty remains. It's just that, the anger will soon dissipate, and anger will always disappear. The matter is done, and Sarutobi Hirozen can only sigh in the end. Forget it. Root base. Do you know the consequences of doing this? No matter success or failure, you are destined to have a bad ending. No. Danzo looked directly at the scorching sun in the sky in the shadows, and his voice seemed to have warmth from then on. The one half kneeling behind him was Nono, who was reported to be seriously injured. I only beg you to keep your promise and never activate my identity again after the mission is over. If I can still be alive by then. Nono didn't say the second half, so her answer was still decisive. For a root ninja, there is no such thing as terminating the mission. There is only one situation for transferring the mission. The person who carries it out dies or starts another mission, a mission which is almost certain to end in death. Nono chose the latter, a choice that is no different from death. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 63, Speed Up. Whether you believe it or not, we didn't place the detonating tags that exploded. The sun was as red as blood, and it was about to set. The forest gradually darkened, and the animals that hibernated during the day woke up quietly. A wild cat lay on a tree, staring at the 3 people who were about to step into the darkness. I just trapped her with the water prison technique, and then activated the highest level of emergency plan to cover the child's evacuation. I stayed in the hotel to coordinate. The hotel owner you saw before you left was always me. Now that I think about it, we were probably targeted before we entered Konoha. There was a person who had been using me from the beginning. Kinjiro Terumi said it with a false feeling. Iki didn't believe a word anyway. Nono and Miss Kumi, the witch Kumi was injured, and he carried her down. Is that so? Iki thought, but then he looked at Mei Terumi next to him. It was just a guess before, but now he can be completely sure that this is the dual escape Mizukage. What about the next one? The one who went to the temple and couldn't enter? You too? Iki asked, showing a little curiosity, the kind of feeling of chatting with an old lady out of politeness. That's my guy, responsible for leading you here. The reason why you were asked to follow him for so long is to let all the mist spies prepare to evacuate. His Zora answered quickly, managing his facial expressions and eyes very well. Anyway, Iki, a graduate of macro expression analysis, can't see anything. But this doesn't prevent him from continuing to not believe a word. All the mist spies evacuated. How is it possible? Let alone, the real owner probably can't keep up. Iki has thought about it. If he can return to Konoha, the first thing he will do is to report the walking man Shiwen. Oh. Iki cooperated with the performance and continued to show a state of thinking. But actually he was compressing his chakra. There was an explosive tag behind him, and it was most likely in semi-activated mode. The Rasengan could knock off the rope in seconds, but the explosive tag would probably be activated instantly. Yingshu also thought of a way, take off the shirt instantly after taking off the rope, and the golden cicada would take off its shell. But this process must be careful and quick. Yingshu left himself a safe time. 1.5 seconds. The explosive tag will not take so long to explode, and this time is for him to take off the golden cicada's shell. Yingshu has thought it through, with a small water ball in his left hand and a Rasengan in his right hand. If he is lucky, he might be able to destroy the explosive tag. The key is how to distract the attention of these two people. Kinjiro's strength is unknown, but it is definitely not low. Meditarumi has been standing behind him, and Kiyoshi rarely says anything. You don't work hard, and your marriage is just a tragedy. You deserve it. Why don't you flirt with me? Heh. At this time, Kinjiro chuckled, which made Iki a little flustered. However, Kinjiro didn't say anything, but continued to explain the truth complacently. In your opinion, what I said may be fake. Of course I don't expect you to believe it. You and I are the same kind of people. Doubt everything. A natural spy. Iki. Feeling offended. At the same time, a sharp voice sounded in the sky. Iki raised his eyebrows. Isn't this a sky monkey? But Kinjiro stopped walking. He raised his ears and carefully identified the direction. 3 seconds later, his expression suddenly became complicated. Sure enough, Kinjiro murmured. Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, and read background color in the upper right corner of the page. Yingshu heard solemnity, tension, and relief, as if he had expected it. Of course, Yingshu still chose the defensive mode in his mentality. Don't think, don't guess, and you won't be fooled. Kinjiro did not continue to move forward. He first glanced at Meditarumi, and a smile appeared on his face that Yingshu couldn't understand. Sorry, miss. It's time to say goodbye. Yingshu raised his eyebrows, but the next second, don't. Meditarumi suddenly scolded, but Kinjiro also formed a seal with one hand. Whoosh. Yingshu only felt a gust of wind blowing, and Kinjiro suddenly flashed from in front of him to behind him. This is a chance. Yingshu didn't care about that. He held a small water ball in his left hand and a Rasengan in his right hand. At the same time, his mind filled in 3 rooms and a living room and a large amount of cash. The figures of Kumiyuhi, Akatsuki, Samu, Kuroda Konan and even Kaguya were all waiting for him. What he wanted was a booth that could speed up when taking off his coat. In a flash, the Rasengan instantly tangled the rope in his hand. Yingshu controlled the ball with the back of his hand. At the same time, a small water ball exploded on the spot. Yingshu felt a pain in his back. The power of the small water ball seemed to have increased. We need to study it carefully. But now, he has to take off his coat quickly. Yingshu took off his coat like a golden cicada and threw it back. At the same time, he made hand seals and instantly came to the big tree next to him with a substitution technique. This is not over yet. Yingshu took out 2 old 6 smoke bombs from both sides of his armpits. They all smelled. To be prepared, his ninja tool bag was unloaded, but his old 6 warehouse was still there. Mr. Kinjiro, you are suspected of damaging public property, planning terrorist attacks, kidnapping children, and maliciously injuring others. Anyway, I'm informing you as a Konoha genin. You are under arrest, Mr. Kinjiro. Iki has been enduring all this time, and this is exactly what he wants. At this moment, Kinjiro is holding Meditarumi, who doesn't know what happened to her, with a surprised expression, feeling like a genius. Especially looking at the 2 smoke bombs in Iki's hand. Kid, did you think that thing was a detonating talisman or something? What Kinjiro Terumi didn't know was that in the hands of Laoliu, 1 smoke bomb would not be exchanged for 10 detonating talismans, unless they were discounted. But what Iki didn't know was that the Kinjiro Terumi in front of him was not only a high-level spy in the mist. At the same time, he is a special jonin. It seems that you don't plan to chat anymore, so. Kinjiro Terumi made a seal with one hand. Iki immediately put his fingers in the gap and quickly made seals with both hands, and 2 shadow clones were in place on the spot. But Kinjiro Terumi also used a shadow clone. Just when Iki thought he had met a fellow warrior, Kinjiro Terumi's real body had already rushed up. Let's talk while fighting, so let me see how good you are. So, Kinjiro Terumi was halfway through his words, but he automatically muted himself. But Iki's eyes fixed. At this distance, even if Kinjiro didn't say anything, he could tell from his lip shape. At the same time, he seemed to hear the old man's rare serious voice again. Don't expose your identity. This is not a big deal for you. especially the ninja from the other village. Once someone knows, no matter what, take him down. Don't let him see the sun the next day. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 64. Smash it for me. Version 2.0. Since it is about the Senju, this battle has to start no matter what. Iki was not sure about this, and so was the shadow clone beside him. The two of them immediately fought Kinjiro with a ball each, and Iki began to make hand seals with his hands, which was the water ranger. In fact, Iki was reluctant to use water style in front of a mist-infused ninja. But now he needs to attack forcefully, otherwise once the opponent starts the offensive, he may not be able to stop it. Recalling Kakishi's dog-head earth flow wall. Water style water ranger. Bang, 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 bang. The water bullets were madly hitting Kinjiro Terumi, but it was not over yet. An old 6 smoke bomb exploded under Iki's feet. When the water bullets started to attack, the people were also hidden by the smoke. Iki entered the old 6 mode again, but this time he didn't hold it in for too long. The water bullet temporarily suppressed Kinjiro Terumi, but his target was a clone. If I'm not mistaken, the young lady you mentioned is of high status, right? Iki began to attack verbally. Letting the entire spies lurking in Konoha cover the retreat is really a big deal. But doesn't this mean you're telling me who you are? As Iki spoke, the second wave of attack was ready. Am I right, Terumi-san? Iki did not directly say Terumi-men's name, which was a courtesy to Kinjiro's automatic muting. But the effect is equivalent to directly calling out a name. Hideki's smoke bomb seemed to blur the direction of his attack, but Kinjiro Terumi had already reacted and was about to go back to support the shadow clone. After being shouted at by Hideki, Kinjiro Terumi was stunned for a full second. How did this kid know? Question mark? Just based on the 3 words young lady? But this is the first time the daughter of the head of the family has gone out of the village for training. Could it be that in the spy front, the entire smoke-hidden world is full of holes? Just like Hideki was frightened by Kinjiro Terumi's lip shape after being muted. Kinjiro Terumi also had a lot of things in his mind at this moment. But the difference is that Hideki instinctively recalled the old man's words, which made him enter the combat mode faster. Kinjiro Terumi had too many things in his mind, and he couldn't stop thinking about them even in the middle of a fight. At this moment, Kinjiro Terumi was in a state that was like being in an illusion. Although it was only a short second. But for Iki, that was enough. A man should be fast. Lightning release. Thunder explosion. The lightning flashed in the smoke, but it didn't show any signs of attacking. Kinjiro Terumi finally reacted, thinking to himself that this guy was so cunning, and at the same time he was very fast, heading straight for Mei Terumi. But just as he was about to move, as the smoke gradually dissipated, this was the bad thing about Laoliu's equipment depot. After being trapped with sweat for too long, the quality of the smoke bombs deteriorated. The figures in the smoke gradually emerged, one after another. Yingshu emerged. Laoliu and his shadow clones were ready. Kinjiro Terumi's pupils shrank, surprised and curious. The Laolius were divided into 3 rows, lined up neatly and orderly, a total of 11 people. The first row was in a half-kneeling position with their hands raised high, and the lightning in their hands kept flashing. They were the lightning escape team. The second row stood behind the first row, with small spiral water balls in both hands. The last row was making seals, which might be the original body, or it might not be. Who knows about Laoliu's layout? Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If you still cannot save, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the cookies of the browser, log in again, and add the bookshelf. Finally, when Kinjiro Terumi rushed to the side of Mei Terumi, his shadow clone had already begun to seal and prepare for defense. Smash these turtle grandsons to death for me. I don't know which Yingshu shouted. The spiral water ball group in the first row directly threw the small water balls in their hands at the target without reservation. The thunder escape group in the first row was not idle either. The thunder light was strong and accurately found the small water balls in the trajectory. Not only did it not affect the trajectory, but it increased the kinetic energy. Lightning escape was attached to water escape, but this time there was no electrolysis. 10 shadow clones 15 techniques. If Yang escape was added, EQ would be drained dry. It's too late. Go. At the critical moment, Terumi Kinjiro shouted, and quickly formed seals with both hands. Water escape, water barrier. From the not too complex seals, it was not a high level water escape ninjutsu. There was a scroll hidden under the trash can next to the toilet in Ika's home, which recorded a B-level ninjutsu called Water Escape Water Array Wall, which was estimated to be many times stronger than this water barrier. Ika's eyes flashed with contempt. Don't you want to see it? Then see it. The water wall did rise in time, and it was quite large, and it looked like it could block everything. But when the thunder release spiral water bowl came into contact with the water curtain for the first time, bang, sizzle. Immediately, the gates of the city opened wide, and water splashed with huge electric currents. Kinjiro Terumi collapsed to the ground, twitching all over. The remaining blood was not wasted, and it fell to the ground, affecting Kinjiro Terumi's shadow clones. The shadow clones turned into smoke on the spot, and Terumi Mei and his arms also fell to the ground. Puff 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 puff. The Yingshus in the old six-sided formation immediately dissipated one after another. The original body was really the last one. I wonder if anyone guessed it right. It's embarrassing to say that Yingshu was originally preparing to make another row of blood, but he had a fear syndrome due to insufficient firepower. The 10 shadow clones disappeared together, and Yingshu felt tired, but at the same time, his chakra also returned. Looking at Kinjiro Terumi plus Mei Terumi lying on the ground, their bodies twitched from time to time. Yingshu instinctively touched his thighs, but found nothing. Then he remembered that his ninja tool bag had been removed. This made Yingshu in a dilemma. If he didn't make up for it, he might delay the opportunity to fight. What if the other party came back, and his mana was almost exhausted, which was not good. But if the other party was pretending, he would pass by and kill them on the spot. It would be too embarrassing to fail. He had been in trouble all the way, and he couldn't let it go at this time. Yingshu immediately looked around, then raised his eyebrows and jogged all the way. After going back and forth, he had already gathered a lot of small stones in his arms. Kinjiro first. Yingshu called tentatively. Then he threw a small stone, aiming at the crotch. Yingshu used a lot of force. He wanted to make sure that, if the person was really awakened by the pain, he would not resist at the first time. But Kinjiro Terumi still did not react, and it was unknown whether it was because of his amazing endurance, or because he was really numb from the electric shock. Yingshu threw stones while walking, and soon came to the side of Terumi Mei. He did not show any mercy to the beauty, and stepped directly on Terumi Mei's crotch with his feet, to suppress the possibility of a resistance. Until he controlled Terumi Mei, Kinjiro Terumi did not make any move. Iki raised his eyebrows immediately. This time, he should have won. But just at this moment, whoosh, pa 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 pa. The sound of sky monkeys rang out again in the sky. Iki looked up in the direction and really saw some fireworks. At the same time, Ika's ears moved. He heard the undisguised running sounds not far away, and there were quite a few people. Iki breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that reinforcement had arrived. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf to prevent losing the novel you are reading. Chapter 65. Enemy versus enemy versus enemy. Is it an enemy? There are people in front. This is the adults and that adult. Damn it, why are the adults here? Shouldn't they have retreated already? Be alert. The Konoha ghosts should not be far away. We can't move forward rashly. Damn, those guys are catching up. Kenji, you don't have much chakra to consume. Take the adult away first. Tell Hiruko, I loved you. If you want to go together, you can say those words to Hiruko yourself. Then let's fight with those Konoha bastards. At most, let White Fang's son die with us. Fight. It's over. Yingshu, who turned into a branch and hung a group of mist spies on his head, didn't dare to breathe. At this moment, Yingshu was extremely lucky that his intuition saved him once again. If he had transformed a step later, he would have been in danger. But the current situation was not much better. He was hanging upside down on a tree branch. He had originally planned to take a look from a distance, but he did not expect it to happen so quickly. In a hurry, he could only quickly recall the second must-have skill of Laoliu, which he was more familiar with than Miorenton, transformation technique. But after the battle just now, he had not much chakra left. These people were so nervous that they did not find him, but if he stayed for 10 or 20 minutes, Yingshu estimated that he would be in danger. Breathing in and out quietly, Yingshu tried to maintain his balance while stretching his neck and looking down. He saw a figure lying on the ground like a dead fish, with the right height and build, plus this group of mist-hidden people. If I guessed correctly, it was Kakashi. It was right below him. If Iki couldn't hold on now, he would have a cushion to fall down. At this time. Whoosh, crackle, whoosh, at the same time. Smash Konoha. Are we the only ones left? Damn it. Is the master still not awake? After 2 consecutive rounds of the heaven-shaking monkey, Iki thought it was a signal bomb for the Anbu to report the location, but now it seems that it is not simple. So, these are the only enemies left. Obito is probably rescued? Yingshu raised his eyebrows. This should be the only good news he heard today. Now think about it. Today is really exciting. I thought it was a spy drama, but I only ate half of the melon, and it ate myself. How embarrassing. Yingshu glanced at Kenjiro lying dead on the ground. Oh, Kenmiterujiro. He suddenly remembered what this guy said before. Since we entered Konoha, we have been targeted. There is a person who has been taking advantage of me. In principle, Yingshu would not believe a single word of these words. But at this moment, Yingshu always felt that something was wrong. Is it okay? Yingshu asked himself instinctively. That's how it's played out in TV dramas. But he hadn't encountered anything right for a whole day. The ouch from the innkeeper had already confirmed that Kenjiro had set a trap for him. After all, the profession of ninja is also called close combat magician. Yingshu always felt that these spies should be real ninjas. And it also has psychological implications. So sinister. Yingshu's breathing became increasingly rapid. Even if the chakra could still hold up, his calves were almost at their limit. It was time. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Here they come. A misty spy shouted nervously, and everyone was facing a powerful enemy. Yingshu was delighted. The enemy that the enemy feared couldn't be the enemy again, right? And the person just said that he was from Konoha, so he couldn't be the traitor again. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. One figure after another appeared, with no expression on his face, because he was wearing a mask. And Yingshu, who was hanging on the tree, was very happy. He felt that his calves were no longer sore and his chakra had recovered a lot. But the next moment, leave the son of White Fang behind, and move. As expected of an Anbu, they acted swiftly and without hesitation, and killed without any lecherous feelings. But there was one question that puzzled Iki, and he was even a little panicked. This leading Anbu, his voice and hairstyle, why does she look a bit like Nono? Shouldn't she be in the hospital? Iki knew how serious Nono's injuries were, with a broken arm and a stab wound in the abdomen. Ninjas have strong physiques, and even if there is such a thing as medical ninjutsu, it will take at least 2 weeks to recover. If he gets down so soon. For some reason, Iki remembered what Kenjiro Terumi said again. From the moment I entered Konoha, I was attacked by the sharp. Nono, Danzo, Kakashi. What the hell? Question mark? An unusual thought came to Iki's mind. Could it be that they are targeting the White Fang? Question mark? Ping ping ping, bang 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 bang. Swish, song, the fight below was fierce, and the momentum of the Kiryu spies was strong, which allowed them to hold out for a full 2 minutes. There is still a certain gap between ninjas and Malay mage assassins. The rout took over the battlefield in an instant, and there was no one who could stand on the ground at this time. Kenjiro Terumi and Terumi, who were lying dead, escaped the disaster. One of the Kiryu threw himself on Terumi before he died, and blocked a fire escape. Kakashi didn't struggle either, probably because he was knocked unconscious. Don't collect the bodies yet, start preparing according to the plan. Never mind, he's already here. Nono was about to start preparing something, and a rout was even about to start releasing a signal bomb. But with that ease coming, all the roots were once again in a state of combat readiness, as if facing a powerful enemy. At the same position, two groups of people made almost the same move. It's really a case of thieves eating thieves. Iki was hanging on the tree, overcoming his physiological problems, watching everything, and swallowed hard. At this time, the enemy of the enemy's enemy has also arrived. The man was so fast that Yingshu could not see him from a distance, but it seemed like a sharp long sword was stabbing at him. He had not yet reacted, but he had given him great pressure. All the roots were ready and waiting. Rano came to Kakashi's side, first pulled off the hood, then the mask, and after confirming that it was correct, he put a kunai on Kakashi's neck. Finally, the figure was gone. He was wearing a mask, but the mask was more like a decoration. The long sword on his shoulder had not yet been unsheathed, but the white hair, the burly figure, and the fierce momentum had already confirmed his identity. Konoha, the captain of the Anbu, the White Fang, takes the Kumo. Warm reminder, if you can't find the book by searching the title, you can try searching the author. Maybe the name has just changed. Chapter 66 Root, White Fang and Nono. The moment he saw a kunai on his son's neck, White Fang understood everything. He took off his mask, threw it on the ground, and spread his hands, seemingly to show that he was empty-handed and not threatening, but the pressure on his face made even Iki, who was just eating melons, feel a little cold. What do you want to do? White Fang was calm, his eyes were sharp, and he seemed to be smiling. He looked very powerful. This is your son, Lord White Fang. Nono responded in a deep voice. In the tree, Iki, who was preparing to find an opportunity to take a plane, was very worried. Seeing this, he finally understood. Putting all the pieces together, Iki discovered that Kinjiro Terumi was not telling the truth. After receiving the mission from Team 7, Nono suddenly showed up, and then the hotel exploded, and the Enbu intervened. Then Kirito set up a trap to hold the three of them hostage, and in the current situation, Kirito, in this spy war, played a role, or perhaps the only role. Did he hold Kakashi hostage, and then use him as a dowry, and finally pointed the knife at White Fang? Iki couldn't believe it. He suddenly felt that he seemed a little naive, or underestimated something. In it, White Fang's death was downplayed, without any details. There was only the fallen figure and a bloody sword. Kakashi was struck by lightning, and his life was left in black and white. But the process involved, with undercurrents behind it, could not be that simple. Yingshu thought that White Fang had recovered, but he ignored why he was lost. Now, the answer appeared. Although there was no human intervention, White Fang's soul was still being stared at by the evil spirit. Someone put a knife on White Fang's neck, but what do you want to do? White Fang's voice was neither happy nor sad. His eyes gradually became cold, and his momentum rose again, like a long sword hanging on a person. As a strong man, he can maintain absolute rationality. But as a father, when his son's life is threatened, he has every reason to do anything. At this moment, Konoha's White Fang can no longer hold back his murderous intent. But this is useless to the root. Inhuman training can even make people ignore their physiological functions. In the eyes of the root, death can be completely within the price required to complete the mission. You have threatened the stability of Konoha, Lord White Fang. Nono held the kunai in her hand and got one step closer to Kakashi. But even so, she still didn't feel any sense of security. But even so, she still had to continue. Elder Danzo is willing to give you a decent ending as a reward for your years of service to Konoha. Ha. White Fang's eyes flashed with contempt, and it was obvious that he took the words as fart. But the expression of Iki hanging on the tree changed from nervous to weird. He knew Nono. Although he didn't know much about him, after walking all the way with Kinjiro Terumi today, he also had a better understanding of the profession of spy. Language is an art. Warm reminder, the problem of saving bookshelves across devices for logged-in users has been corrected. If you still cannot save, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the cookies of the browser, log in again, and add the bookshelf. Even an old man like him can be fooled by a ouch, so you can imagine how delicate this profession is in controlling people's hearts. But the current Nono, Iki does not doubt whether Nono's words came from Danzo. That is indeed Danzo's style. As a spy, if the goal is to complete the mission, You shouldn't say that. Threatening White Fang is one thing, and angering White Fang is another. At least you have to talk about Kakashi. Forget about threats. You can also talk about positive things. For example, when White Fang died, Kakashi would receive a pension, or 3-bedroom apartment with no taxes, a free parking space, a dowry from Konoha, and tuition from Konoha. Nono didn't even mention Kakashi, and even Iki, a rookie spy, couldn't stand her. However, Iki suddenly had another idea. Is it possible that Nono just wanted to irritate White Fang? Iki raised his eyebrows. It really is. How could Nono, a future director of an orphanage, attack Kakashi, who was just over 5 years old? And she tried so hard to irritate White Fang. Is she just too obsessed with it, looking for death? Damn, it really is. Iki was shocked by his own conclusion. But just as his mind was racing, White Fang's calm yet furious nerves finally made him leave his spot. The White Fang was unsheathed. Swish. Yingshu's eyes widened. This was the first time he saw White Fang take action. There was no process, no scream from the root. He didn't even know when White Fang moved. And when Yingshu reacted, he saw that the root was paralyzed, holding its neck, and its whole body was twitching, and it was obviously dying. But then, one muffled groan after another rang out, and one root after another collapsed to the ground. In just a moment, there was only one root left that could stand in front of Nono. So, what are you hesitating about? White Fang's voice was like a demon from hell, cold, manic, and full of sarcasm and disdain. The kunai was only a finger away from Kakashi's neck, but in White Fang's eyes, he was less than a finger away from Nono. Hurry up! The root roared, and then, a flash of white light flashed past his neck, blood spurted, and his head flew up. Nono saw a burly figure suddenly appear in front of her. She couldn't see the man's face from her perspective, but could only see the short knife that kept bleeding. Beautiful. White Fang's move was a bit bloody, but it made Yingshu's blood boil. Drawing the sword to save the sun is more important than committing seppuku in the original novel. The current White Fang is no longer the man who is teased as having a glass heart. He has learned to resist and to point the sword at the right people. Yingshu's root resistance plan has since received an important boost, a full level big boss. Hey. The small hook on which he hung the tree had no power. He fell. Be careful. The falling process was short, and Yingshu's mind was blank, but when he came to his senses, his feet were still half his distance from the ground. He was caught by White Fang. Yingshu also found that Nono also instinctively stretched out her hands to catch him, and on her neck, there was also White Fang's short knife. Leave Konoha, you are already dead. White Fang put away the knife, picked up Yingshu with one hand and Kakashi with the other, and left gracefully. Nono looked at the kunai that had been broken into two at some point and couldn't help herself for a long time. Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. Everyone can try it. Chapter 67, White Fang, it's time to stand up. On the Hokage Rock, Iki looked at the brightly lit village, with Kakashi standing next to him, and White Fang standing in the wind. It's an unforgettable day, isn't it? White Fang said, his tone still a little relaxed. Indeed, it was quite exciting. I don't know if it was because he was too tired or because the hormone adrenaline had stopped, but at this moment Ike's answer was a little numb. His passion receded. It's always a matter of time to experience more. White Fang said softly, you saw it all, right? HMM. White Fang's words changed a little suddenly. Iki was stunned for a moment, turned his head to look, but found that White Fang's eyes were facing the Hokage building not far away. There were also bright lights there, and it seemed that an old man was working hard overtime. Do you have a lot of questions to ask, but don't know where to start? White Fang spoke again. More or less. Yingshu wanted to say that he actually knew everything, but he couldn't say it because he was a low-key person. But think about it carefully. With a god's perspective, does he really know everything? Not necessarily. He only sees the results, but the game and bond between people cannot be told in more than 700 episodes. Perhaps this is the charm of this world. At this time, White Fang turned his head and glanced at Yingshu, and when Yingshu looked at him, he turned his head to look at Kakashi on the ground. Kakashi slept soundly, which was the effect of drugs and illusions. It had no effect on the body and mind, and he could even have a dream at night. Kakashi is rich to have friends like you. White Fang smiled. His tone was very sincere. This sudden praise made Yingshu raise his eyebrows. Who said it wasn't? As a man, you should show off when you should. Yingshu believes that he received a fairly complete 9-year compulsory education, but he has to be humble in the right occasion. Like now, if he chooses to continue to show off, it would be hypocritical. Ha. Beiya chuckled. I thought. Forget it, little Yingshu, you are a smart person. Uncle has something to tell you. You can try to understand, but don't. I cannot see anything. Wake up tomorrow. It will be a new day. Yingshu interrupted Beiya and answered decisively. Uncle White Fang, if you need to, I can prove that Nono is the female kunoichi of the root, and the other roots were all killed by the ghost of the mist. As for what she said, Yingshu spread his hands. Anyway, they are all lies. I will just forget about it. White Fang's expression gradually became shocked. He thought that he had already thought highly of this little guy, but now it seems he still underestimated the IQ of this little guy. Seeing that White Fang did not respond for a long time, Yingshu simply lay down on the ground, supporting his head with his hands, and looking up at the sky. If there is nothing else, I will go to sleep first. Uncle, good night. White Fang opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. Yingshu turned over, and his breathing soon became rhythmic, but just when Beiya was wondering if Yingshu was really tired, and fell asleep in a second. Uncle, have you ever thought about it? If you didn't meet Nono today, the result would be. Beiya frowned. This is a sharp question. Although the result is temporary, Yingshu must take out insurance. Little Yingshu, what do you want to say? I want to say that you almost killed us, Uncle. Yingshu turned over again, lying on his side in a coquettish posture, holding his head with one hand, but his eyes were serious. He was so serious that Beiya was very alert. White Fang had a hunch about his and Kakashi's future fate. In short, the boy's words would be very important. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If you still can't save, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the browser's cookies, then log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. He had to watch it. Why? White Fang asked. They are coming for us, Uncle. Yingshu said, today is the Mist Gakya, tomorrow it may be the Sand Gakya, the Cloud Gakya, the Rock Gakya. If someone wants to show their cards one day, it is not impossible for them to do it themselves. Unless. Yingshu paused. In White Fang's mind, this unless, he already had the answer. It's nothing more than following the wishes of those people. White Fang sneered in his heart. He started practicing sword at the age of 3 and stepped into the battlefield at the age of 9. After so many ups and downs, the name of White Fang spread throughout the ninja world. But in the end, he became a stumbling block. Just as the female ninja from the root, who still had a conscience, said, he had become a factor affecting the stability of Konoha. How ironic. Unless what? White Fang asked, even though he already had the answer in his heart. Unless you strike first, Uncle White Fang. Yingshu supported his head with one hand and shook his arm with the other, looking as if it was a matter of course. White Fang was stunned when he heard it. Before I met Kakashi, Obito and I had to fight with Uchiha almost every day. Even now, Obito has to make an appointment to fight with someone every 2 days. Before, the Uchiha thought that we were easy to bully, so they picked on us every day. And the way Obito and I dealt with it was that we would rather get beaten than fight back. What about now? White Fang couldn't help asking. He had actually heard about the deeds of Iki and Obito. The time when the two of them had the most excessive fight, Orochimaru happened to be there, and he knew it clearly. I'm not going to say it anymore. They're fighting now. The Uchiha gang has everything but the willingness to be beaten. But they don't dare to mess around anymore, because once when Obito and I had a fight, we almost blew someone up. So, if they still want to fight us now, they can only use the challenge as an excuse under the protection of their elders. I think you're the same, Uncle. They are not afraid of you, but they are not afraid enough. After saying that, Yingshu turned over and ended the conversation. He said enough. People like White Fang are just like this. They're fierce on the battlefield, but timid when they get home. Why don't you dare to stand up? I hope that after tonight, White Fang will change. Not bend over backwards for a few grains of rice. Not commit suicide by disembowelment because of worrying about his eldest son. I hope that the world will be at peace and there will be no more wars and betrayals. Looking at Yingshu, whose breath once again seemed to be in a sleeping mode, White Fang was speechless for a long time. Scared, but not enough. White Fang murmured softly. He looked up at the sky. The moon was dim and the stars were sparse, and the lonely moon was peaceful and lonely. He looked at the Hokage building again. The lights were on, and under the light, the old man seemed to be looking at him. White Fang no longer shifted his gaze. His eyes gradually became sharper. Yes. White Fang can make the enemy stay away. Why is he worthless in front of his own people? This is not reasonable. This is not fair. White Fang disappeared, and he did not choose to go to the Hokage building to report the battle situation, but took the two boys home directly. Report? You probably know better than me. Maybe even Yingshu himself did not expect it. For a father who can choose to commit suicide for his son, it seems that it is not a big deal for him to turn evil. His words not only changed White Fang's fate, they also changed White Fang's color. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 68. This conclusion may not be bad. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. Fire style, great fire dragon jutsu. 5 days later, at noon, at the Uchiha No. 1 training ground, the two boys collided passionately, and the Great Fire Dragon had a slight advantage. The surrounding Uchiha had different expressions, surprise, indifference, and everything else. As the chakra of the boy who was half a head taller than him ran out, Obito fought more and more bravely. The Great Fire Dragon seemed to come alive, and in one go, it directly dispersed the Great Fireball. At this point, the winner was not decided, but the superiority was determined. TSK. Iki, did you see those guys? They left before the fight was over. They seemed to be in a hurry to go home. Kakashi, who hadn't seen his father for 5 days, said so. Yingshu chuckled. People like this will never amount to anything. They won't congratulate the winner after the competition. I guess Uchiha Wakaka will definitely be scolded when he gets home. TSK, you know what? Obito has made great progress. The two spoke in a neither too loud nor a soft voice. Many Uchiha nearby had strange expressions, and many Uchiha tried to beat them up with their eyes before leaving, but they glared back without fear. Team 7, that's also the team that has experienced life and death 3 times in a row. It's a team that lives on the edge of a knife. The most recent one was the mist stealth attack, the last time was the cloud Gaku ninja, and the last time was the pursuit by Chili Pepper. With this experience and this training, Team 7 is very strong now. Do you think this is my limit? At this time, Obito, who had an absolute advantage, suddenly roared. The remaining Uchiha on the field looked at him with admiration, as if Obito's arrogant temper was just what they wanted. Uchiha, isn't that what you have to do? Your ninjutsu is only at the first level, and a huge fireball can drain everything from you. And Obito quickly formed seals with his hands, and the scarlet in his eyes finally bloomed at this moment. Iki and Kakashi looked calm. Ha, you show off, useless thing. And the next second, fire style, fire dragon flame bullet. Obito won, crushing Uchiha Wakaka with absolute advantage in the most ostentatious way. 2 months ago, he was beaten black and blue, which made Miss Kumi feel distressed for a long time and scolded him. 2 months later, Miss Kumi turned into a rude demon girl, but Obito beat her into a pig head. If Uchiha Jonin hadn't stopped it in time, Uchiha Wakaka would have been grilled directly. At the last moment, the Sharingan appeared, and the chakra manipulation immediately reached a new level. Others may think that Obito is a perfectionist, and a simple defeat cannot satisfy the appetite of this genius. As far as Iki is concerned, this guy is just trying to look cool, and of course, he also wants to save chakra for his ultimate move. Sharingan plus Fire Dragon Flame Bullet consumes a lot of energy. Although Obito won this wave easily, his tactics were still remarkable. After the competition, Obito received unanimous praise from the current Uchiha clan leader and several elders. Iki and Kakashi left the Uchiha clan quietly. It's nothing else. They were too arrogant when they were cheering. They were not afraid during the day, but they might not be afraid at night. They just left immediately after pretending, which is not only embarrassing, but also annoying. I'm going to continue my training. Dad will come back tomorrow to check my swordsmanship. Kakashi said goodbye. Minato was very busy these days, but he didn't fall behind in the training of Team 7. Well, don't forget the lightning release. If you want to surpass your father, you can't just rely on inheriting swordsmanship, Iki reminded. Kakashi waved his hand without looking back. I know, great hero Iki. Looking at Kakashi's back as he left, Iki was speechless for a long time. What happened that day is still vivid in my mind. Although it has been a few days, I always feel that it was only a moment. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. But Kakashi and Obito have indeed become much stronger. Obito, needless to say, avenged those who came to avenge him, and all the accumulated shame points were cleared and returned many times. Kakashi also found his own way of training. White Fang has decided to teach Kakashi all the swordsmanship, and at the same time Kakashi also began to try to combine lightning release with attack swordsmanship. Iki is not sure whether Chidori Reikiri will be born early because of this, but he knew that White Fang must have stood up. The most obvious proof of this is the respect and praise that Konoha village has shown to White Fang recently. In the past, White Fang was criticized for his failed mission. Now, White Fang is protecting Konoha with his strength. Iki didn't know what happened in the past 5 days, but in a word, White Fang must have changed. And it's not small. I have to work twice as hard, Iki murmured. After giving me version 2.0 that day, Iki felt as if he had found his direction. The first stage of Hydro Touch, Rapid Chakra Fusion, I'm afraid it will soon bear fruit. If nothing unexpected happens in these few days. Yingshu walked towards home. It was still his remote, but quiet rental house. After experiencing so much greed and waste, beautiful dreams and almost falling over, Yingshu has let it go. This is a humble room, but my virtue is fragrant. It has light and ventilation, and the key is that White Fang has a sharp edge. If Uno now fakes his death, the roots dare not look for him now. This result, maybe it's not bad. Yingshu returned to the door of his house, but just as he was about to open the door to enter the house, a voice suddenly rang behind him. Hey, you're energetic? Your brain is not damaged. Ahahaha. This voice was arrogant, gloating, and disrespectful to the elderly. Yingshu's face darkened, and he went into the house without saying anything. This old man. I'm angry. However, your grandpa is your grandpa after all. The moment Yingshu angrily closed the door, the old man had already flashed into Yingshu's house. In fact, if he didn't enter through the door, he would have entered through the 2 big windows. What do you want to do? Yingshu asked with a dark face. You are not welcome in my house. Get out. Hey. The old man didn't seem to be offended at all, but became even more aggressive. You have a bad temper, but not much ability? What's wrong? Is your self-esteem hurt? Weren't you brave before? Get out of here. Yingshu had no choice but to order him to leave. This old man's bad taste is really outrageous. Although Yingshu thought about it later, he estimated that there was a high probability that nothing would happen that day, and the old man was very likely watching him nearby. But the more this happened, the angrier he got. Isn't this making fun of him? It's just that you don't have a granddaughter or something. Otherwise, believe it or not, I will scum her until I grow old. But at this time, boy, you made a fatal mistake. The old man's expression and tone suddenly became serious again. Since someone knows your identity, I told you what to do. Heh. Who told that? Yingshu turned around and was about to fight, but he was stunned. Where was the old man in the whole room? Yingshu's expression suddenly became strange. Just one shot. This is not like the old man's style. But at this time, there was a knock on the door outside. Yingshu-kun? Are you home? It was a sweet voice, and Yingshu's eyebrows raised immediately. He was familiar with this voice, either the theme song or an educational film. But Yingshu's face soon turned stern again. It was nothing. He was familiar with this voice. 3 times a day, for 5 consecutive days. Every day, he was waiting at his house on time. It was from the root demon girl, Kumi. Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the website's ranking page has been optimized. You can try it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69. Please don't overthink. Until now, Ikki still doesn't know what happened that day. The old man killed a lot, and then Kinjiro Terumi knew his identity. The blood limit of the Senju clan doesn't have many characteristics. You have to keep observing until you find that these people are really damn durable, and then you will suddenly realize it. Oh, he is the Senju. This old man, can't he do it on purpose? Experience? Ikki had a strange expression, and then opened the door. What came into view was a pair of white legs, and Kumi was carrying 2 lunch bags. She was here to deliver lunch. Kumi's root identity has indeed been exposed, but her situation seems to be special. Instead of wearing that cold mask to carry out the mission, she put on a helmet, changed into short-sleeved shirt and shorts, and had big wavy hair. She looked more lively than before. From a nurse to a spy, it gave people the feeling of a nurse to a stewardess. Of course, Yingshu would not have any improper thoughts about this big sister, who was 10 years older than him. He was not allowed to do so, and he still had to grow up, so he kept the long gun. Oh my, it's as hot as usual today, but look what good things your sister brought you. Kumi took out a long strip of something from the lunch bag, and Yingshu's pupils shrank. You use this to test the officers? Question mark? Ding ding. Popsicles, of course. You have to eat lunch first, otherwise it will be bad for your stomach. Here, your ramen. No, it's yours. Thank you, Kumine. Ikki chose not to resist and accepted it. He had already told Kakashi and Obito, if he disappears one day, please be sure to find Chili and White Fang to remove the roots. I'm starting. Ikki moved his chopsticks. No matter what, if you don't eat the free meal, you're a bastard. Slurp slurp dong dong dong. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Ikki Genin, the Hokage has an order. The knock on the door was heavy, but it was not to the extent of slamming the door, and the voice of the person who came was also cold. Yingshu had only taken 2 bites when he glanced at Kumi, who was slurping her popsicle, and then at the ramen in the bowl. There's nothing I can do. Yingshu picked up the bowl and ran to the door. He couldn't waste food. Ah, senior from the Anbu, hello. Yingshu greeted politely, and then slurped a mouthful of noodles. Well, eat quickly, and after you finish, come with me after you finish. Yingshu, who was slurping noodles, didn't hear clearly, but still got the general meaning. Okay senior, right away. I didn't expect the Anbu to be so considerate. Could it be that White Fang started to show the domineering captain mode? Great. Yingshu thought wildly, while quickly finishing the ramen. But Kumi behind him had a serious expression, staring straight at the Anbu, or rather glaring. The most surprising thing was that the Anbu actually shifted his gaze and didn't dare to look Kumi in the eye. Of course, Yingshu, who was concentrating on eating, didn't notice it. He had almost finished eating, except for the last mouthful of soup. But Kumi flashed over, stopped Yingshu, and then directly took away his soup and stuffed 2 popsicles into Yingshu's neck. Oh cool. Yingshu quickly took out the popsicles, but saw Kumi's concerned expression. Eat one on the way, and one when you get there, understand? Yingshu didn't understand, but nodded anyway. The Anbu snorted. Let's go. The 2 of them set off immediately. Yingshu wanted to share the popsicle on the way. He was afraid of diarrhea if he ate 2. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not being able to find it next time. But the Anbu refused. You keep it. It may be useful later. Yingshu was really confused. He checked the popsicle. Isn't it quite normal? Am I abnormal, or are you abnormal? With doubts, Yingshu followed the Anbu into a building. The building is not too far from Konoha Hospital. It is separated by 3 intersections and a forest park. The building is in this park, occupying 1/3 of the park. Yingshu and the Enbu entered through the back door. Be prepared. If you can't bear it, just put the popsicle in your mouth and calm down. The Enbu who led the way suddenly said. Yingshu nodded. He probably knew what he meant. The two of them went around in circles, past many checkpoints, and stepped through countless iron gates. However, it is worth mentioning that the decoration here is good and quite new. It feels like it was just built not long ago. Finally, the Enbu stopped in a room, looked at Yingshu who was sucking on the popsicle, and pointed inside. Come in. Yes. The door opened, and Yingshu smelled a pungent smell as soon as he walked into the room. The smell was very complex, the most obvious being the smell of blood, mixed with the smell of excrement. Yingshu simply pinched his nose, took a bite of the popsicle, and held it in his mouth, and simply threw away the rest. The air here was dirty. Yingshu walked in. The light was dim, and the theme was dark red. Yingshu looked around, and found that the walls here seemed to be stained red with blood. There was a person hanging in the room. His hair was disheveled, and his body was covered in blood and flesh. Yingshu suddenly thought of a sentence. Do you believe it or not, I will peel off your skin, you bastard. The torn skin and flesh seemed to be more rotten than the person in front of him. A lot more rotten. Slurp suddenly, at this moment, the familiar sound of Yingshu slurping noodles rang out in the corner. This almost broke Yingshu's defense. He turned his head suddenly, and saw a bald strong man who was slurping ramen. Slurp. Yingshu quickly sucked the ice in his mouth and calmed his mind at the same time. The ramen that the strong man ate tasted the same as the one that Kumi bought for him. It's easy to make people think about it. So, what am I doing here? Yingshu asked with a heavy nasal tone. He specifically asked you to come, and the Hokage approved it. The bald strong man blew a mouthful of ramen. Hurry up, you still have 3 minutes, before I finish eating. Ha. Iki and the strong man looked at each other, and both felt that the other looked familiar. That kind-hearted uncle? You are the brave young man who stood up for justice? This strong man, isn't he the uncle he met on the way when he and Obito blew up Minato and sent him to the hospital? That day he and Obito. Minato, stop it, don't mention it again. We meet again, young master. I didn't expect. I mean, this guy named you? The bald man was surprised. What did you do, brave young master? He's a mist spy who kidnapped a child. He's dangerous. As he said that, the strong man suddenly thought of something. He slapped his forehead and pointed at Yingshu in shock. Massacre? Yes, right. Although he didn't know what the strong man was thinking, Yingshu still nodded in acknowledgement. There's nothing I can do. I'm just that good. Then, Yingshu looked at the man who looked like an inhuman with complicated eyes. Now, he knows who this person is. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the cookies of the browser, log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. Chapter 70 My rules are rules. Mr. Kinjiro, you've lost weight. Iki sighed. Because they were acquaintances, the bald uncle had already left, leaving the space for the two of them. Looking at the bloody Kinjiro in front of him, Iki's heart was full of mixed emotions. Heh, you're here, Iki-kun. Kinjiro Terumi's voice was intermittent and weak, but he was able to express his meaning clearly. Iki was silent. He wanted to ask why he was caught, but chose not to speak. Do you still remember our deal? I remember. But it seems that neither you nor I can do it. I'm already giving you face by coming to visit you. Iki answered quickly. I don't know why. Maybe because he didn't want Kinjiro to suffer too much. The winner has been decided. Although the positions are different, it is respectable. Heh. Kinjiro Terumi chuckled and laughed gracefully. But the price of this grace was a twitch in his lungs. Kinjiro Terumi coughed for a long time, and the blood on his mouth, that had not yet dried, was stained with a layer of blood foam. Yingshu just waited like this. Now, he finally knew why the old man came to him yesterday. But, ahem, you already know the truth, don't you? Kinjiro Terumi finally recovered some strength. But Yingshu heard a little pleading in his tone. Yingshu understood. After all, he cared about Mimi. Do you think I can really know? Yingshu sighed and said. His certainty knew everything. The Root took advantage of Kirin and let Kirin hold Kakashi hostage to force White Fang to commit suicide. If the route was more ruthless, it might have succeeded. In that case, Iki felt that he had several ways to make White Fang surrender. Tiger bench, pepper water, Xiao Ding Ding placing detonating tags, cough cough. Everything was planned by the route and was under Danzo's control. But the problem is, he knew it, so what can he do? He still had to act ignorant in front of Kumi. He didn't dare to mess around when he found out that the water meter was almost living at home. As for the so-called deal, don't worry. I just want to confirm whether you still remember it, that's all. Kinjiro Terumi seemed to have recovered a lot. Iki felt that this might be a flash of life. This guy will die soon. As expected, Kinjiro Terumi raised his head slightly, less than 1 centimeter, but this also exhausted all his strength. Iki saw that he only had 1 eye left, but it was still bright. Don't show that expression, Iki-kun. I have already realized this day. Kinjiro Terumi's tone was very relaxed, but it was really strange considering his current state. They tried to use secret techniques to take something from my brain, but they failed, and this is also the price I paid in our new deal. Iki frowned. He knew what the other party was talking about. It was nothing more than his identity as a member of the Senju clan. This already had a bit of a threatening meaning in it. In fact, if someone with ulterior motives heard these conversations, it would be enough to arrest him and put him in a small dark room for investigation. But Yingshu was not panicked at all, because there was someone behind him. But if the deal continued, it would not be good. How do you know that this price is not something you have to bear, Mr. Kinjiro Terumi? Yingshu spread out his hands, but his outer hand was clasped with 4 fingers in a fist shape, meaning, I can kill you in any minute, you bastard. However, Kinjiro Terumi did not respond. He just stared at Yingshu quietly, with a horrible face and a half smile in his eyes, which looked so permeable. Yingshu has also watched horror movies. Warm reminder, if you can't find the book title, you can try searching for the author. Maybe he just changed his name. He silently said Bakamaka in his heart, and then stared back without giving in. Transaction? It doesn't exist. What? You have already paid? Sorry, I received it, but my rules are rules. In that case, then goodbye, Kinjiro first. I wish you a speedy release. Yingshu didn't bother to argue anymore, and turned to leave. And Kinjiro Terumi didn't stop him. The door opened, and the not so fresh air made Yingshu feel refreshed, and he couldn't help but take 2 more breaths. The bald uncle was not here, and the Enbu at the beginning was waiting for him. Can I leave, senior? Yingshu asked. Damn. The Enbu shrugged, but through the mask, Iki felt that the man seemed to be smiling. Psycho. Iki cursed in his heart, and he realized the scene before he went out. Iki immediately walked out, and he still remembered the way he came. But before Iki took a few steps, the voice of the Anbu rang again. But you can't go home for the time being, Iki Genin. Hokage-sama is waiting for you. You have a new mission to perform. Iki. Hokage-sama, this is not appropriate, right? Iki, he still has to practice. Minato looked at the sand aim in front of him with a tangled face, while Sarutobi Hiruzen smoked calmly. It can't be helped, Minato. But it won't be long, only half a year. You won't be able to leave the village, so it shouldn't be a problem. Sarutobi Hiruzen's tone was somewhat helpless. It seemed as if his fate was not his. Half a year. Minato's face turned bitter. It doesn't matter if you can't leave the village. I'm just worried. Darn. Grandpa Hokage, I'm here. Iki's innocent and very polite voice rang out from outside the door. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled as brightly as a chrysanthemum. Little Iki, come in. Hello. Iki walked in, and at first sight he saw the melancholy looking Minato with a short haircut. Teacher, well, long time no see, Iki-kun. Minato said with a forced smile. You know what, Team 7 hasn't been together for a long time since the last mission. After all, that mission was quite complicated. Little Iki, I'm here. Iki replied, but looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen's kind smile, he always felt something was wrong. You've been working so hard recently. Grandpa said he would reward you, and now is the time for Grandpa to fulfill his promise. Tell me, is there anything you want? Ninjutsu, or living expenses? It's all fine. Iki's smile gradually became brighter, but he was empty in his heart. What are you doing? trying to trick Little Red Riding Hood into opening the door. Even Big Bad Wolf is more professional than you. Really? Hokage? You didn't lie to me? Iki asked calmly. Of course, I'm the Hokage. When have I ever lied to anyone? Sarutobi Hiruzen assured him, patting his chest. Iki's eyes lit up, but he was thinking in his heart. He didn't want to learn ninjutsu for the time being. The pile of scrolls the old man gave him was still hidden under the trash can in his toilet. He didn't dare to learn forbidden techniques, and he didn't dare to use them, even if he learned them. Besides, people might not give them to him. Iki secretly observed Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression, trying to see the depth behind this kind smile. After that, well, I want to move to a bigger house. Is that okay, Grandpa Hokage? Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 71. She is the adopted daughter of the daimyo of the Land of Water. Is she angry? As soon as these words came out, the smile on Sarutobi Hiruzen's face froze, and even Minato's expression next to him instantly became strange. Iki's heart went cold. Is he dead? He really doesn't want to live there anymore. It's summer now, and he can still comfort himself that it's ventilated and has light. But what if it's winter? Does he really have to pay to repair it? It's better to kill him. Moreover, there are 2 big holes in the house, which is very unsafe. Don't think that Kumi knocked on the door before coming in today and brought food and drinks. When he got up that day, he saw the switch lying. Iki is a man, and there are some things in a man's soul. He is not sure how long he can control it, because his body is still a boy's. Therefore, for his future happy life, for the healthy growth of little Yingshu, Yingshu felt that, since there was hope, he must implement the moving plan as soon as possible. This is more important than the research and development of hydrogen escape. This is related to the happy life of his wife, or wives in the future. That Yingshu wanted to fight for it again. If a big house doesn't work, a small house is also okay. Actually, the main thing is that the wall of my house is broken. It really doesn't work. Grandpa Hokage gives me money and I will repair it. It's okay. Yingshu's voice became smaller and smaller, and he tried to take the path of pity. A story called The Little Match Boy quickly took shape in his mind. In the summer, he watched other people's children sucking popsicles under the complete wall. In the winter, he watched other people's children standing under the completed wall. And he, alas, he can only strike a match. Obito, I can do that too. But unexpectedly at this time, knock, 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 the knock on the door rang again, and Sarutobi Hiruzen motioned to come in. Iki didn't look back, thinking that he came in to report to the Anbu. But Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at him again, and his expression was a little more solemn. Little Iki, Grandpa is a man of his words. You want a big house. It's not impossible. Huh. Iki's eyes lit up, and this time it was really bright. But, as expected, the accident still came. Sarutobi Hiruzen dragged out a long tone, and Iki also noticed that a figure walked to his side. A bit short. Now the Anbu has started to recruit children? Yingshu glanced at him, and then, fuck. Yingshu was shocked. This is his roommate. Wait. Yingshu quickly looked at Minato again, but found that Minato had covered his face. As a teacher, he could only watch his students jump into the fire pit. He was too embarrassed to face people. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen's butt finally came to light. Let me introduce you. This is a noble from the Land of Water. She is the adopted daughter of the daimyo of the Land of Water. During this special period, she cannot return to the Land of Water for the time being, so, for the time being, you will be in charge of this mission. The down payment for the mission is that you want a big house, and there will be enough living expenses every month. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, waving at the door. Come in, Lu. Iki was confused. Knowing that she is the eldest daughter of the Terumi clan, what are you hesitating about? Exchanging money. Wait, the adopted daughter of the daimyo of the Land of Water? What the hell? Wait, in charge. Sarutobi Hiruzen said a lot of information, and Iki was confused. At the same time, he also had an extremely unforeseen premonition in his heart. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading records and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. Sure enough, the next second, Kumi in short-sleeved hot pants also appeared. Hokage-sama. Kumi first said respectfully, and then stood beside Iki by herself, just like that, between him and Meditarumi. This is the ninja I transferred from the root, to take care of your daily life. You two should be familiar with each other. It is about the relationship between the two countries. Little Yingshu, don't let grandpa down. At this moment, the light in Yingshu's eyes disappeared. Sir, the target has been found. It is now in the land of fire. Should we execute the elimination? Root base. Keep monitoring. If she really wants to leave, you won't find her so quickly. Shimura Danzo's voice is neither happy nor sad. At this time, another root arrived. Danzo-sama, the identity has been verified. He is from the Kirine-Darumi clan, codename, Submarine, and is the general commander of the Kirine infiltration plan into Konoha. The Darumi clan. Shimura Danzo pondered for a moment. Have you found out what's in his head? Still working hard. That guy has too many restrictions in his head. It will take time to wear him down. After reporting, this root disappeared. At the same time, another root came. The three roots were responsible for 3 different projects, which were unrelated to each other, and were only responsible to Shimura Danzo. The root is such an organization. On weekdays, everyone performs their duties, but sometimes, just a small person's change will affect each other, and cause a huge disturbance. My lord, Taroko, the 6 members of the root are the target of intervention. Do you want to replace them? Not for now. Yes. The root was about to leave, but Shimura Danzo threw a scroll. From now on, the root will enter a semi-silent mode, suspend all internal investigations, and try to avoid the forces of the Anbu, until Hataksakumo leaves Konoha. Yes. Wow, what a big house. Zombie-faced Iki looked at the mansion in front of him and exclaimed. The so-called mansion is actually similar to a 2-story bungalow, estimated to be about 200 square meters, with a large yard in front of it, about 50 square meters. If it was a day ago, no, an hour ago, if Yingshu knew that this house would be his in the future, he might feel that he had reached the peak. He was only 6 years old, carrying a huge sum of money close to 4,000 taels, living in such a big house. Haha, what kind of ninja is it? But now, you go and choose the room you like first. I have to go back to my house to pack my things. Yingshu looked at the adopted daughter of the daimyo of the water country next to him and said expressionlessly. Haha, it's really awesome. Yingshu only then realized how small his mind was. Konoha must know the true identity of Meditarumi. Yes, this was the intelligence he provided. But now, not only did Meditarumi not do that, she even turned around and became the adopted daughter of the daimyo of the Mizuki kingdom. It's amazing. I don't know if Konoha really doesn't need this little money, or if they have other purposes. So, this is the reason why these bastards bullied me? These beasts. On the way home to pack up, Ika's heart was full of negative energy. It was okay before. There was only Kumi in the rental house, and she came 3 times a day, but only 3 times. And now, 1 room, 3 people living in it, and 2 witches pestering Iki. I'm scared. Warm reminder, if you think this book is good, please remember to add it to your bookshelf to avoid not finding it next time. Chapter 72 Yingshu's Happy Life. Yingshu packed his things before the sun set in the afternoon. A woven bag with a quilt and bedding inside, and a pillow made from an adult's coat. 2 scrolls, a lightning-style light bulb, and a water-style water ball. 3 bowls, 4 plates, a pair of chopsticks, 6. All in all, there were less than 10 things in the whole pile, and it seemed that even a homeless man had more than him. In fact, Yingshu was not a person who paid much attention to material enjoyment. Until he saw Meditarumi commanding a group of people to put beds and dressing tables in the room, as well as large and small bags of new clothes and so on. Damn, you really treat this place as your own home. Yingshu cursed inwardly, and then returned to his empty room. As soon as he entered the house, Iki's mood immediately improved. Although there was nothing inside, it seemed extremely spacious, and its area was larger than all the houses before him combined. Let's put it this way, the 2 holes there were equivalent to 2 large windows, but here, they were at most a vent. Iki finished moving in 2 hours. It was called moving, but in fact it was just making a bed, and putting pots and pans, and so on anywhere. Iki and Meditarumi lived on the 2nd floor, at the farthest positions on both sides of the corridor, with a room in the middle. When Iki came, he found that everything inside had been put away. Forget it, it's better than sleeping in my room. Yingshu comforted himself like this, then took the scroll given to him by the old man and all the money, and went downstairs. This is the most valuable item on him. He could hide it in the toilet before, but now, he dare not. The 1st floor is also spacious, with the living room, kitchen and dining room. It's just that there are no furniture. Yingshu doesn't plan to buy it, and he can't afford it. If possible, he even wants to vacate the place for daily practice. However, thinking of the 2 people upstairs, Yingshu still decided to put the practice place outdoors, even at Kakashi's house. Yingshu was about to go out. He had to be quiet, but a burst of fragrant wind coming towards him directly blocked him at the door. Little Yingshu, are you going out? Kuma's hands were always so restless. Yeah. Yingshu had no expression. I'm hungry. Let's eat. I knew don't go out. Sister will give you something to eat. Yingshu was about to refuse, using the excuse that Bayer invited him to the Hatake family for dinner, and he didn't believe Kumi would dare to stop him. But at this time, Terumi Mei also came downstairs. She ignored Kumi and came to Yingshu. Take me to buy some live food. The little girl's voice was a little cold. This reminded Yingshu of his classmate, Yuzuki Yugeo. She is a cool swordsman girl. If you haven't read the original novel, Iki feels that Meditarumi will be like that when she grows up. It is said that girls change a lot when they grow up, and it is said that it is difficult to change a person's nature. So the question is, who is the real Meditarumi? But Iki can understand that Meditarumi is like this now. No one would be happy living under someone else's roof in a foreign country. Iki was about to refuse again, using the excuse that White Fang wanted to teach him sword techniques and then treat him to dinner. He couldn't control these 2 evil women, but couldn't White Fang control them? Then let's go together. Little sister, I've just finished my Nikki. Are you 2 talking about the same thing? Meditarumi is only 6 years old. She's not old enough. In his heart, Iki made a bet with himself that Meditarumi would definitely not pay attention to Kumi. After all, Kumi was the Anbu that Hirozen Sarutobi announced in front of him. So on the first day of moving into his new home, he had to face a choice. Should he accompany the aloof Meditarumi to buy some live goods, or accompany the hot Kumi to buy or eat? Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. However, Iki is destined to be disappointed. The little girl suddenly smiled and held Kumi's hand. I'm fine, Kumi sister. Iki was petrified on the spot. In this way, Iki's indescribable days began. At first, Iki was definitely not used to it. In such a big house, the yin was stronger than the yang. He wanted to send a signal to Obito and Kakashi for help, but they refused. Kakashi was quite reliable. He said that his father was often not home at night, and he had to look after the house, so he asked Iki to stay at his house, which was a polite refusal. But Obito's reason was too much. After hearing about Iki's predicament, Obito laughed on the spot. She also claimed that Iki was now being distracted by women while he was making rapid progress every day under the guidance of the clan leader. It won't be long before he will become the strongest man in Team 7. Iki used the Rasengan. But to be honest, after living there for a while, Iki found that it was not that difficult to adapt. Meditarumi reads books every day, occasionally practices in the yard, and sometimes practices with Kumi. The two have a good relationship, better than Iki expected, so good that they go to the bathhouse together. Of course, she also invited Iki to join her, but Iki refused on the grounds that I'm used to taking cold showers. The two of them have been living like sisters for a long time. Iki saw it all, but he sneered in his heart. If they were really a pair of sisters, they were made of plastic. A small spy, a female agent, tear it off, roll it away. I won't serve the little master. I'm silently studying the ultimate move, and for Iki to accompany Terumi is itself a long-term mission. Team 7 should not accept additional missions. But Hiroz and Sarutobi made a break for them, and allowed them to do the lowest level D-level missions on a daily basis. It was simple and stress-free, and the reward was enough. Minato was also worried at first. He was afraid that it would delay the training and growth of Team 7. Obviously his worries are unnecessary. White Fang taught Kakashi himself, Fugaku taught Obito himself, and Iki. Minato is indeed a good teacher. Although he is usually busy with tasks and has left Team 7, he is still an elite jonin in Konoha. Now it is a wartime, and he will occasionally carry out A-level or even S-level high-risk missions. In order to make up for Iki, the only civilian in Team 7, Minato is worried sick. He also helped Iki study the transformation of water attribute chakra forms, and even occasionally asked Kushina for help when he went on a long trip. In this regard, the members of Team 7 responded surprisingly unanimously. Kakashi, well, my dad wants to teach me swordsmanship. Obito, well, my clan leader wants to teach me the Uchiha secret technique. Iki, my name is Iki. So, Iki is often the only student in Kushina's classroom. At first, Iki refused. Master, please be gentle. I'm only 6 years old. I'm still a child. But slowly, Iki found out. Although he was beaten up every time, the effect of his training seemed to be good. After all, facing Kushina, he can try his best and fight to the death. Of course, it is difficult for him to hurt Kushina. Iki estimates that hydrogen escape will not work either. Kushina is too strong. His only advantage, chakra, is nothing in front of Kushina. It is not difficult for Yingshu to make progress in front of such an opponent. And that is how it is. In the involution of Class 7. Time, ticking, passed away. Warm reminder, there are functions such as switch between simplified and traditional Chinese, adjust font size, reading background color in the upper right corner of the page. Chapter 73, 411 days later. 1 year and 1.5 months later, on the 4th day of the lunar month, at 10 o'clock in the evening, on the streets of Konoha. Team 7 had just finished a D-rank mission, helping a noble lady find her missing pet. Including meals, it took a total of 10 hours, and the reward was 10,000 ryo each. Speaking of which, Iki, the Chunin exam will be coming up soon. Are you ready? Obito asked contemptuously. How should I know? I guess it's uncertain. Iki was helpless. They said that she was not ready, but it was not a man who was not ready, but a woman, or more precisely, a girl who was not ready. The time for Terumi to return to the land of water was postponed again. Although the reason given by Sarutobi Hirozen is still not very convenient, he is not lying. Iki has heard some news recently. The son of the great elder of the Hyuga clan, named Hyuga Aoi, was 10 years old and had one of his eyes gouged out on the battlefield. Of course, even if this situation did not happen, Terumi would not be able to survive. Sarutobi Hirozen agreed, but Shimura Danzo was still there. Shimura Danzo took the wrong medicine and agreed, and the Hyuga clan was not happy. After all, there was still a war on the front line, and the main opponent of the Kurashigakure army was the Hyuga clan. But as to why the Hyuga clan lost an eye, it means that apart from the main family, there is no one else who has not been trapped. Iki didn't know this. Ah. Really? Let's do that first, Iki. Although we are brothers, we shit. Just when Obito wanted to tease him, he saw a stream of water suddenly shot over. It was thick and long. Are you serious? Obito cursed inwardly, and his body moved instinctively. He bent down to avoid the attack, which was very dangerous. Looking at the innocent tree behind him, which was directly pierced with a hole as big as a bowl, Obito swallowed his saliva. Kakashi next to him blinked and pretended not to see it, but his heart was pounding. How did Iki become stronger again? What do you want to say? It's Uchiha. Iju blew on his fingers. No. I mean, we are brothers. We must pass the Chunin exam together. We must. Obito was still frightened, and his face was full of flattery. Iju, this guy, has become stronger again. The three of them went to their own homes, and looked for their own. Well, although the three of them together are not enough for a mother, there are 2 Sealilas in Iju's house, As soon as he entered the door, the smell of rice filled his nose, and the two Lilas said in unison, "You are here." Yeah. Yingshu rushed to the dining table. Today was a sumptuous meal of 5 dishes and 1 soup. Nothing makes you happier than coming home after a tiring day to find your wife and kids warm and, food and hot water ready. Yingshu admitted that he had adapted to this kind of life. Drink more soup, grow taller. Kumi was still enthusiastic and served Yingshu a bowl of soup. "Thank you." Yingshu drank a sip silently and glanced at Terumi Medi, who was half a head shorter than him. "Well, it tastes good. You should drink more too." Speaking of which, Yingshu himself didn't believe it. After he turned 7, he measured his height and found that he was already 144 centimeters. This head said, it's not an exaggeration to say that Yingshu is 10 years old. Kakashi and Obito are relatively tall, now 120 centimeters and 121 centimeters respectively, and their heights will be similar when they grow up, 181 centimeters and 182 centimeters respectively. Iki estimates that he must be taller than the two of them, and he may even break the height ceiling of Konoha. Jiraiya's 191.2 centimeters. Good. Terumi also served a bowl, and then immediately praised Kumi. "It's delicious." Kumi smiled without saying anything. The dining table was very warm, and before going out, people said that they were 3 siblings, and they could get discounts for meals. After eating and taking a shower, Iki changed into the cartoon pajamas that Kumi bought for him, ready to end this rather fulfilling day. At the same time, he also had to think about how to talk to Minato or Naga to ask for leave, so that he could pass the Chunin exam. In fact, he was going to find Chili Pepper. He had already thought of the words, "No matter what, I was taught by you, and I'm still a genin when I go out. Is that embarrassing for me? That's all because of you, master." "Well, let's do it." Yingshu immediately prepared to go to bed, but suddenly, the doorbell rang. Yingshu, who had just closed his eyes, immediately entered a state of alert. After checking his clothes, he straightened up and sat upright. Then he greeted in a baritone voice, "Sister Kumi, good evening." Yingshu has indeed adapted to the life of having 2 conch girls at home. Oh, this can't corrupt his will. Yingshu regards this as a kind of practice, a kind of spiritual training, a will training, and a training of concentration. Warm reminder, if you can't find it by searching the book title, you can try searching the author. Maybe he just changed his name. It can also promote the secretion of testosterone, which is a must for men. After practicing, the fitness effect will be better, and it can also promote the development of that aspect. The last time Team 7 competed in the bathhouse, the result was beyond Iki's expectations. Kakashi, who killed the boss in seconds, turned out to be the youngest in Team 7. At that time, Obito, who was ranked first, comforted him. "After all, you are still young and can still grow." Iki almost laughed out loud. At the same time, he also silently expressed his sorrow for the Obito in the original time and space, and said, "Alas. PFFT, you are so nervous every time I enter your room." Kumi smiled teasingly. "To be honest, are you hiding something from me?" Iki felt that he was a little confused. At the same time, he also thought of something. Terumi and Kumi are together. Could it be? Forget it. Forget it. He doesn't need to understand the things between women. Is there something wrong, Kumi sister? Iki asked politely. You have no conscience. I cook for you every day. Can't I come to see you if I have nothing to do? Kumi said as she sat cross-legged next to Iki. She had just taken a bath and was smelling fragrant. One hand was resting between her thigh and chin. Iki looked up at the ceiling instinctively, but he still saw some out of the corner of his eye. Well, 36C, 2 sizes larger. Don't look at Kumi's high level and her flirting skills. She is only 17 years old today, a flower-like age. It's just that everyone in the ninja world looks mature. When Ano was 15 or 16, it seemed that she was more flirtatious than Kumi. I just ate too much, so I want to go to bed early. Maybe I can still recall it in my dream. Yingshu replied calmly. This earned Kumi a series of silver bell-like smiles. Yingshu couldn't help but take a look and secretly said, what a guy. Without clothes, he's still quite lively. enough, let's talk about business. Kumi finally returned to normal, her expression was a little more serious, but she still had a teasing smile. Yeah. Didn't you notice that Medi-chan hasn't been quite right recently? She may not be able to go back for the time being. Yingshu raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He was quickly analyzing the reason why Kumi said these words. In fact, even the fact that the Hyuga clan was disliked was also told to him by Kumi unintentionally. I can't do anything about it. Yingshu quickly cut off his words and said seriously, I'm a ninja. If the war is not over, I will go to the battlefield sooner or later. She can't leave for the time being. It may be a good thing for her and for me. This answer is very correct, and Yingshu is very satisfied. But Kumi frowned. You fool. Yingshu was puzzled. His answer was perfect. I mean to ask you to comfort Mei-chan, not to ask you, understand? Kumi rubbed Yingshu's head frantically, and Yingshu's long black hair, which was more graceful than the Hyuga clan, turned into a chicken coop in an instant. After Kumi's instruction, Yingshu had no choice but to do as he was told and came to Terumi Mei's room. The last time he came to catch a mouse, although he couldn't find it for a long time. Knock, knock, knock. Yingshu knocked on the door. Are you asleep, Ming? A strange sound came from the room. Yingshu frowned and almost broke into the door, but then he considered that after Terumi Mei left, the door would still be his, and he would have to pay to repair it. Yingshu hesitated. 3 minutes later, the door was still opened a crack. What came into view was Terumi Mei with a red face, but she was blocking the door, which made Yingshu frown even tighter. Are you feeling unwell? Yingshu asked concernedly. At that time, because of her height, although Mei Terumi didn't block much, Yingshu still saw the general situation in the room. There was no one else. The theme was jelly pink, and what were those balls of paper? It was really strange. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. Chapter 74 Crow's Mouth equals what you wish for comes true. On the first day, Iki got up earlier than usual, perfectly avoiding Terumi Mei's good morning. The main reason was that he was afraid that Terumi Mei would catch a cold and infect him, although the probability was small. The little girl was very worried, and it was normal for her to catch a cold and have a runny nose, right? But Iki got up early, and there were other reasons. Minato said that he would announce the news the next day, saying it was a surprise for the three of them. So the gathering time was changed from 8 o'clock to 7:30. Iki himself got up early, and he got up even earlier that day. He arrived at 6 o'clock without having breakfast. So Iki started making meatballs. He really made meatballs. A small water ball was condensed in one hand, and then lightning flashed from both hands. The two hands rubbed together, and bubbles popped out of the small water ball. This process lasted for 3 full minutes. The small water ball had expanded into a large balloon, a full circle larger. Not bad. Chakra compression is getting more and more proficient. Yingshu raised his eyebrows, and the large balloon disappeared with a pop. Don't underestimate this balloon. It looks similar to the one a year ago, but in fact, it is indeed similar. But don't forget that Yingshu did not make any hand seals from beginning to end. This move is called the spiral hydrogen ball, and the greatest difficulty is not here, but the compression and conversion of chakra. It took Iki more than half a year just to find a way. Iki began to make seals with his hands. Wind style, wind sweep technique. A simple and unpretentious wind style ninjutsu that blow away the dangerous gas in the air. At the same time, it was also the perfect answer to Iki's hard work in the past year. After the spiral hydrogen ball, he mastered the transformation of chakra properties. In fact, it was no big deal. Iki's chakra attribute was highly compatible with the water attribute, so much so that it covered up his feelings for other attributes. When Minato was teaching the three people the course of chakra nature transformation, Iki discovered that his compatibility with lightning attribute chakra was almost the same as Kakashi. He came up with a bold idea at that time. Perhaps it was not Kakashi who researched the Chidori in advance, but himself after seeing Naruto's sequel. but the idea was good, and he did research the transformation of chakra into lightning attribute. Combined with the Rasengan, the first stage of hydrogen escape officially set sail. He even found the last fig leaf between the transformation of chakra into lightning attribute and water attribute, and thus found the transformation method of other chakra attributes. Yes, fire escape, he can use it. Ignition freedom, he can do it. Applause. It's just that he is not very proficient, and except for lightning escape and water escape, other ninjutsu also consume a lot of energy, especially earth escape. This is also because Yingshu did not report to that stinky old man for the time being. Wind escape continued for a while. Yingshu waited for a while. In 1 year, his progress was more than that. Water escape was the foundation of his progress. The transformation of chakra nature, form, and the first stage of hydrogen escape were all inseparable from the use of water escape. In this situation, where he had to experiment and try his best, Yingshu accidentally discovered the new continent. After confirming that the hydrogen energy around him should have dissipated, Yingshu began to practice the new continent of water escape. He raised his 2 fingers horizontally, aiming them at a big tree not far away. The tree was already full of holes, and Yingshu was ready to give it a quick death. It was considered a farewell. A ball of mini water was spinning wildly on Yingshu's fingertips. The biggest improvement Yingshu made in the past year was his chakra control and the growth of the blue bar. The old man was very surprised by this and told the truth when he apologized for betraying Yingshu during their meeting. Yingshu's talent was above average even during the heyday of the Senju clan. Warm reminder, this site uses cookie technology to save your reading history and bookshelf, so clearing browser cookie data, reinstalling the browser and other operations will make your reading progress disappear. It is recommended to occasionally take a screenshot and save the bookshelf in case you can't find the novel you are reading. Yingshu didn't care about these things at the time. The old man's bad temper could apologize to him, and he thought of many different things at the time. However, when Yingshu found out that his wife, who had been saved in his pocket for half a year, was gone. Destroy it. Nasu. Yingshu's eyes were focused and cold, and he said to Kushina, in ninja battles, momentum is the key. This may not be true for other ninjas, but it is true for the descendants of immortals like them. Water style, spiral water blade. The water bowl formed a stream of water that kept spinning, shot out, and accurately hit the heart of the tree. Boom. The tree collapsed under the heavy weight, and Yingshu saw that there was no one around, so he left casually. Water style, spiral water blade, taking into account the transformation of water attribute chakra. It combines the principles of Rasengan and water style, hard vortex water blade, and is derived from it. It is a new weapon of Yingshu. The principle of Tobirama's hard vortex water blade is very similar to that of Rasengan, both of which increase kinetic energy by rotation. The advantage of the Rasengan is destruction, while the advantage of the hard vortex water blade is penetration. The two merged into one, called the Rasen water blade, is actually an armor-piercing bullet in water jutsu. It is a bit similar to the secret water cannon of the second generation Mizukage Kizuki's clan, but Ikki's original intention was to use it as the prototype ninjutsu of the last step of the second stage of hydrogen jutsu. Fusion, launch, ignition. Ikki did it all. At 7 o'clock, Kakashi arrived ahead of schedule and brought buns to Ikki. At 7:10, Obito arrived. Team 7 was officially assembled, but Minato, the teacher, was late. The three waited for a minute. It's 7:10, the teacher probably won't be able to come. Kakashi, who was very familiar with Minato, said with a wave of his hand. Normally, Minato would arrive 10 minutes early, without fail. Even if he was absent, he would notify in advance. But today, maybe it has something to do with telling him about the surprise. Ikki said. Although it was a match today, it shouldn't be for the mission. After all, they just finished one yesterday. Sarutobi Hiruzen allowed Team 7 to perform missions, but the requirement was that they couldn't do it continuously, and Meitarumi was still Ikki's main mission. Hiss. Obito took a breath of cool air, his expression a little uneasy. This surprise, could it be? Don't be such a crow. Ikki hurriedly stopped him. After training with that great god for a year, he has made a lot of progress, but he has also faced many more shadows. Especially after his recovery ability was demonstrated, Kushina's punches became heavier. Obito fell silent, looking terrified. But it was too late. In the distance, a red-haired figure with a heroic appearance was slowly approaching. She was wearing a Konoha forehead protector, and she had changed her favorite long skirt and put on a Konoha green vest, which was rarely seen. This made the red-haired figure look more heroic, with her scarf not overshadowing her beard and her red hair fluttering. She was really elegant. This made the three boys feel very depressed. Damn, they have even made a vest and forehead protector, and they are still going to beat them to death? Question mark? The Hokage's office. We are here. Minato, come and see. Sarutobi Hiruzen rubbed his hands excitedly. I don't know if it smelled like chicken shit, but it was not very serious. Minato next to him was a little nervous. This battle would determine whether the three boys were qualified to participate in the Chunin examination. Of course he was nervous. Warm reminder, in order to facilitate everyone's book selection, the ranking page of the website has been optimized. You can try it. Chapter 75 World War II Pepper, Part 1. Although Chili Pepper still had a smile on her face, but every time she took a step forward, Team 7 took a step back. It felt like they didn't want to go to school, so they stole money from home to buy detonating tags, to blow up the school, and finally got caught. The master's fist was painful and hard. If it hit you, you would really die. Iki? What should I do? Obito asked stutteringly. Did you do something recently to make the master's wife angry? How is that possible? Iki refused to put the blame on others. I'm working very hard and doing very well. Okay. But you too. Every time the master's wife substitutes for you, you make excuses not to come. You really don't give her face. The blame was put on Kakashi and Obito. Pepper was getting closer and closer. Then, is it too late for us to admit our mistakes now? Obito wanted to struggle. It's too late, Kakashi said in despair. The three of them looked behind them and saw that they had already reached the wall of the training ground. They had no way to retreat. What are you doing? Is it too hot? Kushina said unhappily when she came in front of the three little guys and shook her fingers as she looked at the three boys standing in the shadows. The most important thing for a ninja is patience, especially when training. Do you know? Puff. In front of the crystal ball, Sarutobi Hiruzen spit out a mouthful of hot tea. Minato, Kushina actually knows. Ha ha ha. The old man laughed wildly. Minato could only bite the bullet and help clear the table. Kushina, she cares a lot about the children. Sandaime. There was a bit of a wife protecting element in Minato's words, but more of it was out of guilt. If Team 7's legs weren't so shaky, Minato would have dared to be tougher. The old and shrewd Sarutobi Hiruzen instantly realized his own loss of composure, quickly put away his smile, and changed the subject. By the way, Minato, do you think the three of them can really hold out for 10 minutes in Kushina's hands? Hearing this, Minato, who was clearing up, immediately had a strange look on his face. To hold out for 10 minutes in Kushina's hands. This is not as simple as holding out for 5 minutes in his hands in the graduation exam. But there is no way. They are too young. No one trusts them to become Chunin, and no one has the heart to let them take on missions that Chunin can take on and bear those risks. Perhaps this is why the Sandaime has never let them take on missions above C rank. However, Minato finally nodded in response to this question. I believe in them, Sandaime-sama. Although they are still young, their determination to become stronger has nothing to do with age. They will work hard. Minato's face was filled with a confident and sunny smile. Sarutobi Hiruzen was silent. He silently looked at the three people in the crystal ball, picked up the smoke gun, and puffed out smoke. Okay, don't be nervous, just hold on for 10 minutes. Kushina smiled. Her eyes, in order to inspire the children's potential, I even put on this ugly vest. I'm such a good teacher. Kushina, in the eyes of Team 7, you are ruthless, cold, and unreasonable. You Zalke, don't come over. Can you not hold on? I have a cold and my stomach hurts. Obito raised his hand weakly. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the cookies of the browser, then log in again, and add the bookshelf. Iki and Kakashi glared at Obito at the same time. Don't run out of excuses. Ha. Kushina frowned, and the three of them felt cold in their hearts. So, Obito doesn't want to participate in the Chunin examination? You can sign up if you insist on 10 minutes. Are you sure? Question mark question mark question mark. This news was too surprising. The three of them, including Iki, were stunned for 3 seconds before they reacted. The surprise was hard to hide. So this is what Minato meant by surprise. That's alright. Bullshit. Yingshu cursed in his heart. Chunin exam, and you still want to sign up? Who stipulated that, if you sign up for the Chunin exam, you have to fight the Ninetales Jinchuriki for 10 minutes? Is that still a Chunin? 300 Chunins can't stop Chili Pepper from getting angry. Well, you guys should prepare well. Don't worry, I will show mercy. The premise is that you can't run away. Kushina blinked, then pointed to the sky in a mysterious way, and finally put her hands behind her back, humming a cheerful little song, and skipped away. Ahem. Sarutobi Hirozen coughed, glanced at the embarrassed Minato. I didn't see it. What should I do? Do you want to give it a try? The pre-war meeting of Team 7 began, and Yingshu was eager to try. The learning experience over the past year has made him somewhat resistant. How to fight? Kakashi asked back. He also wanted to try bravely. After all, that was a Chunin. Of course I'll do it. Obito was stunned, but he quickly turned his head to look at Kushina, pressed the volume down button, and said, get beaten up, and changed to a Chunin. Your salary will increase several times, brothers. Then do it. Yingshu made up his mind, his eyes flashing. I won't hide from you, although I have been beaten all the time these days, I have also developed a lot of tactics, especially for Master's wife. I named this tactic, multi-layered integrated attack from top, middle and bottom, sea, land and air, and I need your cooperation. 10 minutes later, Team 7 finally walked out of the shadows, and into the sunshine. I don't know if it was the warmth of the sunshine that gave them strength, or if it was because they had the tactics that made them less nervous. In short, although the three were still nervous, they were not so scared that their legs became weak. Hey, that's more like it. Get ready, then let's get started. Kushina also got interested, and her 10 knuckles made a crackling sound. This almost destroyed the courage that the three had finally mustered. But fortunately, the three still persevered. Especially Obito, as the C position in the plan. He bravely took the first step. I'm awesome. I'm awesome. I'm awesome. I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of death. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Obito grumbled and put layers of psychological buffs on himself. In the Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hirozen patted his big baby, looking puzzled. Is it broken because it hasn't been used for too long? Crystal ball, shut down, restart, and when the screen reappeared, Obito has already launched a charge. Die. Warm reminder, the problem of logged-in users saving bookshelves across devices has been corrected. If it still cannot be saved, please remember the contents of the bookshelf first, clear the browser's cookies, and then log in again, and add it to the bookshelf. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.